Hi everyone, and welcome to Sleepy Broadcast. I hope you are all doing well. Today, we will be looking at every banned and censored South Park episode, explained to fall asleep to. We are covering the episodes that got pulled from streaming, the ones that aired once and never came back, and the real reasons networks will not show them anymore. But before we begin, I would just like to kindly ask you all to subscribe. It is completely free, and it really helps us improve the videos for this wonderful community we have managed to build. Anyway, that is enough of that. Let's begin, starting with Super Best Friends. The first South Park episode to get pulled entirely was Super Best Friends. It came out in 2001, in Season 5, and it showed religious figures as superheroes fighting together. Jesus was there, Buddha was there, and Muhammad was there. Back then, nobody cared. The episode aired normally, went into reruns, and people could watch it whenever they wanted. Then, 5 years later, everything changed. Comedy Central stopped airing it, streaming services took it down, and you cannot watch it legally unless you own the DVD. The reason was simple. The episode showed Muhammad, and after 2006, that became too risky. The episode itself was about David Blaine starting a cult. Blaine was a famous magician back then who did street magic on television and pulled off big public stunts, getting buried alive in a coffin for a week, standing in a block of ice for days, and holding his breath underwater for record-breaking times. Millions of people watched his specials, and he became this mysterious guy who seemed to have real powers. South Park took that image and ran wild with it. In their version, Blaine comes to South Park and starts doing magic for people. Simple stuff at first, card tricks, levitation, making things disappear. But then he starts telling people he is not just a magician, he is like a god, that his powers come from something higher, and that if they follow him, he will make their lives matter. The town completely falls for it. Randy and Sharon Marsh join Blaine's cult. They start wearing robes, they chant, they give him money, and more people join every day. Blaine sets up a compound outside of town and tells his followers they need to prove their devotion, making them do embarrassing things to demonstrate their belief. The joke is that people will believe anything if you present it right. Blaine is clearly just a street magician, but he is good at manipulating people. He knows how to make them feel special, tells them they are part of something bigger, and that is all it takes. Soon half the town will do whatever Blaine says. Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny watch this happen and know it is fake, and they try to tell their parents, but the adults will not listen, too deep in the cult mindset. The boys realize they need help from someone with real power, so they go to Jesus, who in South Park lives in town and has his own public access TV show, a regular character who shows up sometimes. The boys explain what is happening, and Jesus agrees to help. But when he confronts Blaine, he realizes the magician is stronger than he thought. Blaine has gotten into something real, maybe just mass psychology, maybe actual dark magic. Either way, Jesus cannot handle it alone, so he makes a call and reaches out to his friends, the Super Best Friends. This is when the episode really gets going. The Super Best Friends show up one by one. Buddha appears and can manipulate fire, calm and peaceful, but also powerful. Krishna arrives with multiple arms ready to fight. Joseph Smith comes in with his special abilities. Moses shows up as a giant glowing shape that shoots energy beams. And Muhammad shows up wearing a superhero costume with ice powers. He can freeze things and create ice walls. He is just another member of the team. The show treats all of them the same. They are all religious figures, all working together, all there to stop Blaine's cult. The Super Best Friends confront Blaine at his compound, and when his followers make a barrier to protect him, the team uses their powers to break through. Buddha creates a ring of fire, Muhammad uses his ice to stop it and make a path. Moses zaps the entrance open, Krishna fights off the guards, and Jesus leads them to Blaine. There is a big fight. Blaine uses his tricks and illusions, but the super best friends have real power, and they beat him, showing everyone he is a fake. The cult falls apart, the townspeople wake up and go home embarrassed, and the super best friends save the day. The episode came out on July 4th, 2001. Comedy Central advertised it as a 4th of July special and showed it during prime time, with no warnings, no disclaimers, no censorship. Muhammad appeared on screen multiple times in the episode. He talked, he fought alongside Jesus and Buddha. He was a hero, and nobody complained. There were no protests, no religious groups wanting the episode banned. It was just another South Park episode. The show always made fun of religion, so this was normal, and viewers laughed at how absurd it was to have religious figures as superheroes. It was obviously satire, and nobody thought it was attacking Islam or any religion. The episode went into reruns like any other, and you could catch it on Comedy Central at random during the year. The creators did not think they were doing anything controversial. Matt Stone and Trey Parker had shown Muhammad before. He appeared briefly in the show's opening credits in earlier seasons, just standing there with other religious figures, and nobody cared. Showing Muhammad was treated the same as showing Jesus or Buddha. It was all part of how South Park does comedy, where everything is fair game and all religions get made fun of equally. That was the point. If you protect one group, you are saying they matter more than others, and South Park would not do that. They treated all religions with the same disrespectful humor. Then came 2005. A Danish newspaper published 12 cartoons depicting Muhammad, saying it was defending free speech and that no topic should be off limits. But the cartoons made people furious. Protests broke out across the Middle East and in Muslim communities around the world. Embassies got attacked, publishers who reprinted the cartoons got death threats, and people died in riots. The controversy dominated international news for months, and Western media argued about whether the cartoons were brave journalism or offensive, some newspapers reprinting them to support free speech, and others refusing and calling the Danish paper reckless. Comedy Central watched all of this happen and realized they had a problem. Super Best Friends was in their library, and that episode showed Muhammad fighting crime as a superhero, showing more of him than the Danish cartoons did. If someone decided to go after Comedy Central over it, the network would be in danger. They looked at the risks, looked at what happened to other publishers, and made a decision based on fear. In 2006, they quietly stopped airing Super Best Friends. It vanished from television, and when South Park went to streaming years later, the episode was not included. No announcement, no explanation. It just disappeared. The episode is still on the Season 5 DVD box set, so if you bought the DVD before everything went digital, you can still watch it. But most people stream now and do not have DVDs, and on every streaming platform that carries South Park, Super Best Friends is missing. HBO Max does not have it, Paramount Plus does not have it, and Hulu never had it when they carried the show. The episode got wiped from easy access. You would have to buy the old DVD specifically to see it legally, or find it online through unofficial means. This created a strange situation. The episode was not banned because people complained when it came out. It got banned after the fact because of something that happened years later in another country about different cartoons. The creators never meant for Super Best Friends to be controversial. They included Muhammad as part of a group joke about religious figures teaming up, treated the same as showing Jesus, Buddha, and Moses. But after the Danish cartoon crisis, anything depicting Muhammad became too sensitive for American networks. Even old content nobody had complained about for years suddenly became dangerous. Banning Super Best Friends set the tone for everything after. It taught Comedy Central that no episode was safe, that content which aired fine 10 years ago could become a problem tomorrow. and that if the political climate changed or threats worsened, the network would pull content to protect itself. This was not about respecting religious beliefs. Comedy Central still aired episodes mocking Christianity, Judaism, and other religions, still showed Jesus as a regular character doing ridiculous things. The difference was fear. Christianity does not come with death threats for satire. Islam sometimes does. So the network made a business decision, preferring to censor their own show rather than take the risk. Super Best Friends was the start of South Park's censorship problems. Once one episode got pulled for showing Muhammad, the network started looking for more, and any time the character appeared became a red flag. The example was set. Comedy Central would give in to pressure and fear instead of standing behind their creators, and the creators could do nothing about it because they did not own the broadcast rights, the network did. So Super Best Friends disappeared and stayed gone, and it is still gone today. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you are enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have Cartoon Wars Part 1. It came out in April 2006, right in the middle of the Muhammad cartoon controversy, and it was South Park directly addressing what happened with the Danish cartoons. The episode was not trying to be subtle. It was the show's response to censorship and fear. The plot was about a fake Family Guy episode that was going to show Muhammad, and the whole country panics, networks arguing about whether to air it, Cartman trying to get Family Guy cancelled, and Kyle trying to defend free speech. The episode became South Park's statement on what happens when networks give in to threats, but Comedy Central was too scared to let the full episode air without changes. They added warnings, they made cuts, and years later, they went back and censored even more. The setup worked because South Park had been feuding with Family Guy for years. Matt Stone and Trey Parker thought Family Guy's comedy was lazy. They did not like the random cutaway jokes that had nothing to do with the story, thought it was cheap humor that did not require real writing, and had mocked Family Guy many times before, even showing its writers as manatees randomly pushing idea balls together to make jokes. Using Family Guy for the Muhammad debate was perfect because it let South Park make 2 points at once: defend free speech and trash their rival show at the same time. The episode starts with TV news breaking the story. Family Guy is about to air an episode with Muhammad as a character, and the announcement causes panic across America. The president calls an emergency meeting at the White House, worried about terrorist attacks. Network executives meet in boardrooms trying to decide whether to pull the episode. Religious leaders make statements, some saying it is important to defend free speech no matter what, others saying showing Muhammad is disrespectful and will cause violence. The country splits into groups, everyone with an opinion. The boys watch all this on TV from South Park, and Cartman sees a chance. He has hated Family Guy for a long time, thinks the show is stupid, has complained about it before with nobody listening, and now he has a real reason to try to get it cancelled. He can say it is not about taste, it is about safety, that Family Guy showing Muhammad will get people killed, and that networks airing it will be targeted. Cartman makes himself sound like the reasonable one. He is not trying to censor comedy, he is trying to protect people. He decides to go to Hollywood and convince the network executives to pull the episode, packs a bag, and gets on a bus to California. Kyle finds out what Cartman is doing. Kyle believes in free speech and thinks networks should not give in to threats. If you let one group decide what can and cannot be shown, you lose all freedom to create anything. Today, it is Muhammad. Tomorrow, it is something else. The line moving until nothing is safe. Kyle thinks Cartman's plan is dangerous. Cartman just wants to cancel a show he does not like, but he is using fear to do it. And if it works, it sets a terrible example. So Kyle gets on a bus and follows Cartman to Hollywood to stop him from censoring Family Guy. The episode cuts between the boys' trip and what is happening everywhere else. We see the Family Guy writers working on the episode, nervous but committed. We see network executives arguing in conference rooms, some wanting to air it, some wanting to pull it. We see news coverage getting more intense, pundits arguing on TV, religious groups organizing protests. The whole thing builds tension, everyone waiting to see what the network will do, whether they will support the show or give in to pressure. Cartman gets to Hollywood and meets with network executives, gives them a presentation, shows them news footage from the Danish cartoon riots, talks about embassies getting attacked, mentions death threats against publishers, and makes it sound like airing the Family Guy episode will cause the same violence, arguing that comedy is not worth people dying. The executives listen. They are already scared, and Cartman's speech makes them more scared, and they start thinking about pulling the episode. Then Kyle bursts in and argues the other side, saying giving in to threats means the terrorists win, that if networks censor themselves out of fear, free speech is dead. The executives are stuck in the middle and have to choose. The episode builds to a cliffhanger. The Family Guy episode is about to air. Cartman and Kyle are still arguing with the executives, and the network has to make a final decision. Will Muhammad show up on screen? The episode ends before we find out. South Park made it a two-parter, so viewers had to come back the next week. But this was not just a story cliffhanger, it was a real question. Would Comedy Central let South Park show Muhammad? Everyone knew the network was scared. The threats were real. The Danish cartoon controversy was still going on, and Comedy Central had already stopped airing Super Best Friends. Would they let South Park push the limits again? When Cartoon Wars Part 1 first aired, Comedy Central tried to walk a line, letting most of the episode go through unchanged. The characters could talk about Muhammad, could argue about whether showing him was right or wrong, and the network added warnings beforehand telling viewers the content dealt with sensitive religious topics, but did not cut the discussions. The only censorship was strange and inconsistent. Comedy Central bleeped the word Muhammad in a few places, not every time, just sometimes, and it made no sense. You could see Family Guy characters on screen. You could hear people talking about the Prophet, but randomly the name would get bleeped. It felt like the network was making decisions while panicking, scared, but unsure exactly what to censor, so they censored randomly and hoped it would be enough. The reaction from viewers was split. Some loved that South Park was dealing with the controversy directly, using its platform to defend free speech and mock censorship, and they liked the bravery. Others thought South Park was being irresponsible, worried the episode would cause violence, and felt the creators were putting people in danger for a joke. Death threats started coming in right away. Matt Stone and Trey Parker got messages warning them not to show Muhammad in Part 2, and Comedy Central got similar threats. The network was terrified and had to decide what to do with the second part of the story. Would they let South Park finish what it started, or censor the ending to protect themselves? Behind the scenes, things were tense. The creators wanted to make their point, wanted to show Muhammad on screen in Part 2 to prove that giving in to fear was wrong. But Comedy Central had lawyers and executives worried about real consequences, looking at what happened to the Danish newspaper, seeing the riots and attacks, and not wanting that to happen to them. The network and the creators argued, the creators pushing for their vision and the network pushing back, and nobody knew how it would end until Part 2 actually aired. The cliffhanger was real, in the story and in real life. Looking back now, Cartoon Wars Part 1 is in a strange state. You can still watch it on streaming, but not the original version. Comedy Central went back years after it aired and censored more, bleeping more lines and editing certain visuals, so the version you watch today is not the version that aired in 2006. This became a pattern with South Park's controversial episodes. They do not get removed completely, they just get slowly edited over time until the original does not exist legally anymore. You can find the unedited version online through unofficial sources, but on HBO, Max, and Paramount Plus, you get the censored version, the network having gone back and made the episode safer later. Cartoon Wars. Part 1 became a test case for how networks handle controversial content. Do they support their creators or give in to threats and fear? Comedy Central chose fear, censoring the episode in small ways at first and then more later, and the episode is still available but has been tampered with. Its message about censorship turned ironic. South Park made an episode defending free speech and criticizing networks for giving in to pressure. And then, the network that aired it proved South Park right by censoring it, showing exactly what the creators were warning about. Once you start censoring out of fear, it never stops. The line keeps moving, more content gets edited, and original versions disappear. Take a moment to subscribe before we continue. Next up is Cartoon Wars Part 2, which came out 1 week after Part 1. This was the episode everyone was waiting for. Would South Park actually show Muhammad on screen? The answer came right away. Comedy Central said no. The network censored the episode before it aired, blocking Muhammad out completely. Anytime he showed up, they covered him with a black box, and the words, "Comedy Central has refused to broadcast an image of Muhammad." The creators were furious. They wrote the episode to make a point about censorship, and the network proved that point by censoring it. The whole thing became a mess that shows exactly what happens when fear beats free speech. The episode picked up right where Part 1 ended, with Cartman and Kyle still in Hollywood arguing with network executives while the Family Guy episode with Muhammad was about to air. In the South Park version, the executives decide to air it. Family Guy goes on TV, Muhammad shows up as a character, and he is just hanging out with Peter Griffin, not doing anything offensive, just there. The joke is that showing Muhammad is not actually a big deal. He is just another character, and it is the fear around it that made everyone panic. South Park was making the point that the controversy was overblown, that showing Muhammad should not be this huge issue, and that the fear is what makes it dangerous, not the picture itself. But Comedy Central did not let viewers see that. Every time Muhammad appeared on screen in the fake Family Guy episode, Comedy Central blocked him with a giant black censor box and text saying the network refused to show the image. This happened multiple times, the censorship obvious and in your face. You could hear characters talking about Muhammad, you could see everyone else on screen, but Muhammad was hidden. The irony was brutal. South Park made an episode about networks being too scared to show Muhammad, and then Comedy Central was too scared to let South Park show Muhammad. The network became the joke. The creators fought this decision. Matt Stone and Trey Parker wanted Muhammad to appear uncensored. That was the whole point of the two-parter, to prove comedy should be able to handle any subject without fear. They argued with Comedy Central executives, saying censoring the episode would ruin the entire message, but Comedy Central would not budge. The network was terrified of what would happen, having seen the Danish cartoons, and did not want to be the next target, so they told the creators Muhammad had to be censored. The creators had no choice. Comedy Central owned the broadcast rights, and what the network said was final. The episode kept going with the story. After the fake Family Guy episode aired in South Park's world, nothing happened. No riots, no attacks, no violence. Everyone panicked for nothing. The fear was worse than reality, and this was South Park's point. The threats work because networks believe them, and if everyone just refused to be scared, the threats would lose power. But one person standing alone gets targeted, so everyone gives in together. The episode showed this cycle happening, networks censoring themselves, threats continuing to work, more content getting restricted, and the definition of acceptable constantly changing. Meanwhile, Cartman had his own side story. He did not really care about Muhammad or free speech, he just wanted Family Guy cancelled, and when the Muhammad controversy did not work, he changed tactics, going to the Family Guy studios to physically destroy the place, breaking in at night with materials to blow up the building. Kyle followed him and tried to stop him, and they fought in the studio. Cartman was willing to commit terrorism to cancel a show he did not like, while Kyle was trying to protect creative freedom, even for a show he did not really care about. The fight represented the bigger argument. How far will people go to silence things they do not like, and how hard will others fight to protect speech they do not even like? The episode ended with Kyle giving a speech, talking straight to the audience about censorship and fear. He said giving in to threats meant the terrorists won, that comedy had to be allowed to make fun of everything, or it could make fun of nothing, and that choosing what is off limits meant some groups got special protection while others did not, which is not equality but favoritism based on fear. The speech was powerful and clear, exactly what the creators wanted to say, but even it got partly censored. Comedy Central bleeped certain words and cut certain lines. The speech about censorship got censored. You cannot make this up. When the episode aired on April 12, 2006, viewers were shocked by the censorship. They expected South Park to push limits and instead got black boxes and bleeps, and the online reaction was instant. Fans were angry at Comedy Central and felt betrayed. South Park had always been the show that did not back down, and now the network was making them back down. Message boards filled with complaints, and people posted the censored images online to protest, sharing screenshots of Muhammad from Super Best Friends, and other times he had appeared uncensored, wanting to show this character had been shown before without problems, that the controversy was manufactured by fear, not actual offense. The creators spoke out after the episode aired, giving interviews criticizing Comedy Central's decision. Trey Parker said the network completely missed the point, and Matt Stone said censoring an episode about censorship was ridiculous. They were both frustrated and angry, but they also knew they were stuck. They could not air South Park anywhere else. Comedy Central had exclusive rights, and if the network wanted to censor, the creators had to deal with it. This power difference became obvious to everyone watching. The people making the art did not control how it got shown, and the company broadcasting it made all the final decisions based on fear and money. Comedy Central defended their choice, putting out a statement saying they were being respectful of religious beliefs and did not want to offend Muslims, but this explanation sounded fake to many viewers. The network still aired episodes making fun of Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, and other religions, still showed Jesus as a regular character doing ridiculous things. The only religion getting special protection was Islam, and the reason was not respect, but fear. No one threatened Comedy Central over Jesus jokes. People threatened them over Muhammad pictures, so Muhammad got censored and Jesus did not. The double standard was obvious. The censorship went beyond the visual blocks. Comedy Central later went back and added more bleeps, lines that originally had audio getting muted in later broadcasts and streaming versions. The network kept editing the episode over time, each new version removing more content, and it is hard to find the original now, most platforms carrying the heavily edited version. The episode exists, but it has been tampered with, the message about censorship censored, the irony becoming the story. Looking at Cartoon Wars Part 2 now, it is a turning point, the moment South Park's creators realized they could not beat network fear. They could write whatever they wanted, argue and fight and make their case, but if Comedy Central said no, that was it. The episode proved that threatening violence works, that networks will give in to protect themselves, that content gets restricted and artists lose control, and that the people making threats learn their tactics work, which encourages more threats, more demands for censorship, more episodes getting pulled or edited. Cartoon Wars. Part 2 was not just about Muhammad, it was about what happens when fear becomes the rule, and once that example was set, there was no going back. Do subscribe before the next one if if you are finding this worthwhile. Moving on, we have episodes 200 and 201, the biggest ban in South Park history. These two episodes came out in 2010, in season 14, and were supposed to celebrate the show's 200th episode. The creators brought back tons of old characters and references, wanting to do something big, but they also dealt with the Muhammad controversy again, trying to show that the censorship from Cartoon Wars did not fix anything. It made things worse. The network censored these episodes even more than before, and then Comedy Central banned both completely. You cannot watch them on any legal streaming platform. They do not air on TV. They are gone. Only the DVDs have them, and even those are censored. The setup was ambitious. South Park had been on for 14 years and made hundreds of characters and storylines, so for the 200th episode, they decided to bring everyone back. Every celebrity the show ever mocked, every villain, every random character, all teaming up to sue South Park. Tom Cruise leads the group, still mad about being made fun of in old episodes, gathering all the other celebrities into a class-action lawsuit with one demand. They want Muhammad not to make fun of him, but to steal his power. The joke is that Muhammad cannot be shown, so he has this magical immunity, and if the celebrities get that immunity, they can never be made fun of again. This lets South Park talk about censorship again. The celebrities want Muhammad's power to be safe from ridicule, which is exactly what censorship does, making certain topics untouchable. Once something becomes forbidden, it gains power. The show was pointing out that protecting Muhammad from being shown gave him special status. Other religious figures do not get, so Islam gets special treatment not out of respect, but out of fear. And the celebrities get this, wanting to be feared the same way, wanting to be off limits, which is why they want Muhammad's power. The boys have to find Muhammad to stop the lawsuit. They do not want to hand him to Tom Cruise, so they go looking for him and learn he has been hiding, protected by different groups who do not want him shown. The boys convince him to come out and help, but they have to keep him hidden, so South Park puts Muhammad in a bear costume. He walks around dressed as a bear, so you cannot see who he is, the costume becoming a kind of physical censorship. Muhammad is there but hidden. You know he is under the bear suit, but you cannot see him. It is ridiculous, and that is the point. Censoring him does not make him disappear. It just makes everything ridiculous. Comedy Central censored the bear costume anyway. Even though you could not see Muhammad, the network put a black box over him with text saying they would not show him. So Muhammad was already hidden in a bear costume, and then the network added another layer of censorship on top. You could not see the character at all, not even the bear costume, just a black box. The censorship got so extreme, it was censoring censorship. The creators were furious. They had specifically made the bear costume as a compromise, thinking showing Muhammad in a disguise would satisfy the network, but Comedy Central was too scared even for that. Episode 201 went further. The celebrities capture Muhammad and try to steal his power, and there is a big reveal. The power does not come from Muhammad, it comes from fear. The Ginger Kids have the same power because people are scared to make fun of them too. The episode was making the point that any group can become untouchable if threats are taken seriously enough. The power is not natural, it is given by people who give in to pressure. This was South Park's clearest statement on censorship yet. Fear makes topics untouchable, and once you have untouchable topics, you do not have free speech anymore. But Comedy Central censored the message. Kyle gives a speech at the end of 201 explaining everything, talking about fear and censorship and why giving in to threats is wrong, the main point of both episodes, the whole thing the creators wanted to make. Comedy Central bleeped the entire speech, every word. You can see Kyle talking, see his mouth moving, but all you hear is one long bleep for 30 seconds. The speech was completely impossible to hear. No one knows what Kyle said unless they read the leaked script later. The network took the message about censorship out of an episode about censorship. It was Cartoon Wars all over again, but worse. Before the episodes even finished airing, threats started coming in. A radical website posted a warning to Matt Stone and Trey Parker that included a photo of Theo van Gogh, a Dutch filmmaker who was murdered after making a film critical of Islam. The message was clear: show Muhammad and you will end up like him. The FBI got involved and looked into the threats, the creators got police protection, and Comedy Central panicked. After the episodes aired, the network decided both would be banned. They pulled 200 and 201 from all future broadcasts, took them off the network's website, and when streaming platforms got South Park, these two were not included. Comedy Central refused to let anyone have them. The ban was complete. The creators spoke out against the decision, saying banning the episodes meant the threats worked, that they had proven violence and intimidation could get content removed, which would only encourage more threats in the future. If it worked on South Park, it would work on other shows. Matt Stone and Trey Parker were frustrated and defeated. They had tried to make this point multiple times. Super Best Friends got pulled, Cartoon Wars got censored, and now 200 and 201 got banned completely. Every time they tried to defend free speech, the network gave in to fear, and there was nothing more they could do. The ban created a strange situation for fans. If you bought the season 14 DVD, you could watch 200 and 201, but even the DVD versions were censored. The black boxes over Muhammad stayed, and Kyle's speech stayed bleeped. You could own the episodes, but could not watch them uncensored. The only way to see the uncensored versions was through leaked scripts online. Fans typed out what Kyle said in his speech and shared screenshots of what Muhammad looked like under the bear costume before the black boxes. These unofficial versions became the only record of what the creators actually made, since the official versions were tampered with from the start. Comedy Central's decision had lasting effects, the ban sending a message to every other network and platform. If you show Muhammad, you will get threats, and you will pull the content. This affected shows beyond South Park. Other animated shows avoided the topic completely, nobody wanting to be the next target, the chilling effect exactly what the creators warned about. One ban leads to more, one restricted topic leads to more, and soon whole areas of commentary become off-limits, not because of laws, but because of fear. Looking at 200 and 201 now, they are the peak of South Park's censorship problems. These episodes had everything: ambition, comedy, commentary, and were supposed to celebrate a milestone. Instead, they became a symbol of defeat. The creators tried to make a point about censorship and got censored, tried to show fear was the real problem, and the network proved them right by banning the episodes out of fear. The ban is still in effect today. Over 10 years later, you still cannot stream 200 and 201 legally. They have been erased from memory, existing only on DVDs that fewer people own every year, and eventually they will be lost, except for the pirated versions online. That is what happens when networks choose fear over art. Content disappears, messages get silenced, and the threats win. Before we move on, subscribe if you are enjoying this breakdown. Up next is the censored audio of episode 201. The most mysterious part of the 200 and 201 ban is Kyle's censored speech. At the end of episode 201, Kyle gives a speech explaining the whole point of both episodes, talking about fear and censorship and intimidation, explaining why giving in to threats is dangerous. The speech lasts about 30 seconds. It should have been the climax, but Comedy Central bleeped the whole thing, every single word. You can see Kyle's mouth moving, see the other characters listening, but all you hear is one long bleep. No one who watched the episode legally knows what Kyle actually said. The only way to know is through leaked scripts posted online years later. The speech was not about Muhammad specifically, it was about the bigger issue of censorship. Kyle was explaining why certain topics become untouchable, saying that threatening violence works because people are scared. When someone threatens to hurt you if you say something, most people stop, which is natural. But when everyone stops saying it, the topic becomes forbidden, and once something is forbidden, it gains power. The people making threats realize it works, so they threaten more, making more things off limits, until eventually you cannot talk about anything controversial because someone will threaten violence. Kyle's speech explained all of this clearly. It was the message Matt Stone and Trey Parker had been trying to make for years, and Comedy Central shut it down. The decision to bleep the speech happened late while they were making the episode. The creators finished it with Kyle's speech included and sent it to Comedy Central. The network looked at it and panicked. The speech was too direct. It pointed out the exact thing that was happening in real life, that Comedy Central was censoring South Park because of threats, and that Kyle's speech explained why that was wrong. The network did not want to air criticism of what they were doing, so they told the creators the speech had to go. The creators said no, saying the speech was the whole point of both episodes, that without it, 200 and 201 did not make sense. But the network said they did not care. Either the speech got bleeped, or the episodes would not air at all. The creators had no power. Comedy Central owned the rights and could do whatever they wanted, and Matt Stone and Trey Parker could complain, but could not stop it. So Comedy Central took the finished episode and bleeped Kyle's entire speech, not just certain words, but everything. The whole 30 seconds becoming one long bleep, so you could not understand a single word. The visual of Kyle talking stayed, but the sound was completely gone, which made the ending impossible to understand for anyone watching. Kyle looks like he is giving an important speech, everyone listens seriously, then the episode ends, but you do not know what he said. The climax of the story got erased. When episode 201 aired on April 21, 2010, fans were confused by the bleeping. They knew something important had been removed, since the bleep went on too long to be a normal curse word. This was clearly censorship of content, not language. Online communities immediately started trying to figure out what Kyle said. Some people claimed they had inside sources at South Park Studios and posted transcripts. Others said those transcripts were fake and no one could prove anything. The mystery around the speech made it more famous than it probably would have been. Everyone wanted to know what Comedy Central was so scared of. A few weeks later, someone leaked the script for episode 201, and it had Kyle's full speech exactly as written, so fans could finally read what he said. The speech was calm and reasonable, not inflammatory or offensive. Kyle explained that intimidation only works if people give in, that letting one group be safe from criticism because they threaten violence means anyone can be safe if they threaten enough, and that the only way to stop this is to refuse to be scared, because if everyone just kept making jokes about everything, the threats would lose power. The speech was basically defending free speech and explaining how censorship spreads. It was not controversial in what it said. It was controversial because it described exactly what Comedy Central was doing. Reading the leaked speech made the censorship look worse. Fans could see there was nothing in it that deserved bleeping. Kyle was not insulting Islam or attacking any religion. He was talking about how intimidation works. The network censored a speech about censorship because the speech criticized censorship. The irony was overwhelming. South Park tried to make a point about how fear leads to self-censorship, and Comedy Central proved it by censoring the explanation of self-censorship, the whole situation becoming a perfect example of what the creators were warning about. The leaked script spread all over the internet. Websites posted it, forums discussed it, and YouTube videos had people reading it out loud. Fans made their own versions of the episode, with the speech uncensored, using voice actors to remake what Kyle said. The edits were not official, but they let people see the episode the way it was supposed to be. Comedy Central sent legal letters to some sites hosting the uncensored versions, wanting to keep the speech hidden, but the internet does not work that way. Once something leaks, it spreads forever, and you can still find the full speech online easily. The official version stays censored, but the unofficial versions are everywhere. The creators never got to release what they actually made. Even on the season 14 DVD, Kyle's speech is bleeped. Comedy Central controlled the DVD release and made sure the censorship stayed. The only way to hear the speech is through leaked scripts or fan versions, the official version permanently tampered with. This created a strange situation where the pirated versions are more complete than the legal ones. People who bought the DVD got a censored version, while people who downloaded it illegally got closer to what the creators actually made. Matt Stone and Trey Parker talked about the censorship in interviews, saying bleeping Kyle's speech was the most frustrating thing Comedy Central ever did to them. The speech was why they made both episodes. Everything built to that moment, and removing it destroyed the story. Trey Parker said it felt like writing a book and having the publisher remove the last chapter. You can read the book, but you do not get the ending. The story just stops. That is what happened to 201. The episode builds to Kyle explaining everything, then just ends with a bleep, and new viewers who do not know about the controversy must be totally confused. The censorship also set a dangerous example, showing that networks will hide criticism of their own censorship. Comedy Central did not just censor Muhammad, they censored talking about censoring Muhammad, censored explanations of why censorship is bad, creating a loop where the topic got harder to talk about with each new restriction. First, you cannot show Muhammad, then you cannot talk about not being allowed to show Muhammad, then you cannot explain why that is a problem, each layer making the next easier to justify, the network removing content about removing content. Looking at the censored speech now, it is the ultimate defeat for South Park's message. The creators spent 2 episodes explaining how censorship based on fear works, showing it step by step, building to a speech that explained everything, and then the network proved them right by censoring that exact speech. The irony was too perfect. Comedy Central became the bad guy of the story they were showing, displaying the problem while hiding the explanation of the problem. Kyle's speech exists in leaked form online, but officially and legally it is still bleeped, still censored, still unavailable, and that mystery stays for anyone who only watches legally, which is the point. When networks censor criticism of censorship, censorship wins. Take a second to subscribe if this is holding your attention. Moving on to Trapped in the Closet, which came out in 2005 in Season 9. This episode went after Scientology. The show explained Scientology's origin story with text that said, "This is what Scientologists actually believe," showing Xenu and Thetans and alien souls, and it made Tom Cruise look ridiculous by literally showing him hiding in a closet and refusing to come out. The episode destroyed Scientology's mystery by revealing their secret beliefs and making them sound ridiculous, and Scientologists were furious. The church supposedly pressured Comedy Central to stop showing the episode in reruns. Isaac Hayes quit the show over it, and the episode got banned in multiple countries. It still airs in the US, but with restrictions. Some streaming services will not show it, and it demonstrates how even powerful organizations can censor content through pressure and threats. Scientology had never been a big target for South Park before this. The show mentioned it briefly, but Trapped in the Closet was a full attack. The episode started with Stan taking a personality test at a Scientology center. The test tells him he is depressed and needs help, and they give him Scientology material to read. Stan reads about Xenu, the alien dictator who brought billions of aliens to Earth millions of years ago and killed them with volcanoes, their souls becoming thetans that stick to humans and cause mental problems. This is actual Scientology belief. The show did not make it up, they just showed it exactly as Scientologists believe it, and how ridiculous it was spoke for itself. The episode then showed Stan being declared the reincarnation of L. Ron Hubbard, who founded Scientology. The church leaders freak out, thinking Hubbard came back and brings Stan to meet Tom Cruise. Cruise is excited, thinking Hubbard can tell him his acting is good, but Stan watches some of Cruise's movies and says they are okay, but not great. Cruise gets upset and locks himself in Stan's closet, refusing to come out. Stan and others try to get him to come out, literally telling him to come out of the closet. The gay joke was obvious. Cruise had dealt with rumors about being gay for years, and South Park was making fun of those rumors and also of how he cannot take criticism. Other celebrities get involved. John Travolta shows up and goes in the closet with Cruise, and R. Kelly shows up and wants to be in the closet too. The closet gets crowded with celebrities hiding from criticism. Meanwhile, the Scientology leaders realize Stan is not really Hubbard reborn. He is just a kid, and they try to sue him for insulting the church. Stan tells them their beliefs are ridiculous, and they should not sue people for saying so. The episode ends with text saying the episode was written by many people and challenging Scientology to sue all of them. The credits listing everyone as John or Jane Smith. South Park protecting its workers from individual lawsuits while still making their point. When Trapped in the Closet first aired on November 16, 2005, the reaction was instant. Scientologists were outraged. The church thought the episode was a hateful attack and said the beliefs were shown wrong. But former Scientologists said the show got it right, that the Xenu story is exactly what high-level members learn after paying thousands of dollars for courses, and that South Park just revealed it for free. This broke how Scientology makes money. The church keeps beliefs secret to preserve the mystery and control, and once those beliefs are public and mocked, they lose power. The episode really hurt Scientology's ability to recruit. People who might have joined after seeing their ads now knew what they would learn, and it sounded crazy. Tom Cruise supposedly went straight to Viacom, Comedy Central's parent company, and threatened not to promote Mission Impossible 3 if the episode aired again. The movie was a huge investment for Paramount Pictures, which Viacom owned, and losing Cruise's help promoting it could hurt its box office. Viacom gave in, telling Comedy Central to stop showing Trapped in the Closet in reruns, and the episode disappeared. It was supposed to air again a few weeks later, but Comedy Central canceled it at the last minute, citing technical problems. Nobody believed that excuse. Everyone knew Scientology got to them. Isaac Hayes quit South Park a few months later. Hayes voiced Chef from the start and was a Scientologist, saying he could not be part of a show that made fun of religious beliefs anymore. Matt Stone and Trey Parker called him a hypocrite, pointing out that Hayes was fine when the show mocked Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and other religions for 9 seasons. But when Scientology got hit, suddenly it was too much. The creators thought the Church of Scientology pressured Hayes to quit. He was a famous member, and the church could not let him stay on a show that revealed their beliefs. Whether Hayes quit on his own or was forced, the result was the same. Chef left the show, and South Park killed the character in a brutal episode mocking Hayes for leaving. The episode did come back on TV eventually. After the first ban, Comedy Central quietly started showing it again a few months later, never explaining taking it off. The network just resumed showing it and hoped people would forget. But the damage was done. Everyone knew Scientology had successfully pressured a network to pull content. The ban might have been temporary, but it showed that even powerful organizations can censor through money and threats. Cruise had power through the movie deal, and he used it, and Viacom chose money over creative freedom. The episode came back, but the example was set. Other countries had their own problems with it. Some banned it completely, others edited it heavily. The UK pulled it from some broadcasts, and networks in Europe and Asia did not show it. The reasons varying, some citing religious sensitivity laws, others just not wanting legal trouble. Scientology is known for suing critics constantly, and networks did not want to be the next target, so they removed the episode first, since it was easier to skip one episode than fight a long court battle. Streaming platforms have been all over the place with Trapped in the Closet. Some services have it, others do not. HBO Max has it, but some international streaming services do not, whether you can watch it depending on local laws and company decisions. This created a situation where the episode exists in some places but not others, depending on where you live and what service you use. Worldwide streaming making censorship more complicated. A show you can watch in the US potentially blocked elsewhere. Platforms having to deal with different legal systems and cultural sensitivities. Looking at Trapped in the Closet now, it is still one of South Park's most controversial episodes, not because of what is in it, but because of who it made angry. Scientology is a rich organization with money to pressure networks and studios, and they use that money to punish South Park. The temporary ban sent a message: make fun of us, and we will hurt you financially. The episode came back, but other creators learned. Scientology became risky to go after, and most shows avoid them now. South Park was willing to take the hit, but not everyone can do that. The episode exists today, but with a history of censorship and pressure behind it, proving that powerful organizations do not need government censorship. They can use money and power to remove content they do not like, and that is just as effective as any official ban. If you are enjoying the breakdown, a subscribe helps before we continue. Next up is Bloody Mary, which aired in December 2005 during Season 9. The episode was about alcoholism and Catholic content that made religious groups angry. The main plot showed a statue of the Virgin Mary bleeding from a specific body part. People thought it was a miracle and came from all over to see it. The Catholic Church investigated and declared it real, but the show revealed the statue was just menstruating. The episode used this crude joke to talk about miracle claims and alcoholism treatment, and Catholic organizations were furious, calling it disrespectful and offensive. Some countries banned the episode completely, others edited it heavily, and Comedy Central pulled it from reruns in certain markets. The episode still exists, but it is restricted in ways that show how religious pressure works differently around the world. The episode started with Randy getting arrested for drunk driving, his blood alcohol level way over the legal limit, and the court ordering him to attend Alcoholics Anonymous. At AA, Randy heard people talk about alcoholism as a disease, saying alcoholics cannot control their drinking, that they are powerless against alcohol. Randy took this literally, deciding he was sick and helpless, and stopped trying to control himself, using the disease label as an excuse to keep drinking. The show was making fun of how some people use the disease idea to avoid taking responsibility. South Park was not saying alcoholism is not real. They were saying some people hide behind the label instead of actually trying to get better. Meanwhile, a statue of the Virgin Mary in a nearby town started bleeding from an unusual place, between its legs, and people saw this as a miracle, thinking Mary was crying blood through a different part of her body. Catholics rushed to the statue, believing touching it would cure diseases and solve problems. Randy heard about it and thought if the statue could cure diseases, it could cure his alcoholism, so he drove there with his family, pushed through the crowd, and wanted the Virgin Mary to heal him so he would not be an alcoholic anymore. The Catholic Church sent people to look into the bleeding statue. They examined it carefully, took samples of the blood, prayed in front of it, and then announced the bleeding was a real miracle. The Pope himself came to see it and confirmed that the Virgin Mary was performing a miracle through the statue. People celebrated, thinking God was reaching out to them directly, and the town became a pilgrimage site, thousands of people traveling there to see the miracle and ask for healing. But then someone pointed out where the blood was coming from. The statue was not crying blood, it was menstruating. The Virgin Mary statue had a period. The show said this clearly, characters saying it on screen, the joke being that everyone was treating a normal biological process as divine intervention. South Park was mocking how people see miracles in ordinary things. The church had validated something that was not spiritual at all, just nature working as designed. The episode used crude humor to make a point about how badly people want to believe in miracles. Randy did get healed by the statue, but not in a miraculous way. The statue did not cure his alcoholism. Instead, Randy realized the whole thing was ridiculous. He saw people worshiping a menstruating statue and understood he had been acting just as ridiculously, treating alcoholism like a curse that needed divine intervention, when it was really a problem he could address through choices and willpower. The episode ended with Randy rejecting AA's disease idea, deciding he was not powerless, that he could choose not to drink, that he did not need miracles or higher powers, just to take responsibility. When Bloody Mary aired on December 7, 2005, Catholic groups complained right away. The Catholic League for Religious and Civil Rights called it hate speech, saying showing the Virgin Mary statue having a period was deeply offensive to Catholics everywhere, that the episode went from satire to bigotry. The group pressured Comedy Central to pull the episode, organizing letter-writing campaigns and contacting advertisers, making it clear they wanted the episode gone. Comedy Central stood by the episode at first, calling it satire protected by free speech, airing it as scheduled, and putting it in the normal rerun rotation. But other countries reacted differently. Catholic groups in some countries had more power than in the US, and in some places the church had direct control over what could be on TV. New Zealand banned the episode after Catholic groups complained, the country's Broadcast Standards Authority deciding it was too offensive to air, saying the period imagery crossed the line. Other countries followed, parts of Europe limiting it, and Latin American markets pulling it, the episode becoming unavailable in regions with strong Catholic populations. Networks did not want to fight the church, so they just removed the episode to avoid conflict. Even in the US, Comedy Central eventually made changes. They did not ban Bloody Mary completely, but they stopped putting it in heavy rotation, so it airs occasionally, but far less than other Season 9 episodes. When streaming became the primary way people watch South Park, the episode's availability varied. Some platforms included it, others did not, the decision seeming to depend on the region and how risky the company thought it was. Places with large Catholic populations often did not get the episode, while places where religion was less powerful kept it. The controversy showed how different religions get treated differently. South Park had mocked Christianity countless times, shown Jesus as a regular character doing ridiculous things, made fun of Christian beliefs constantly, but those episodes never got the same organized pushback. Catholic groups tried with Bloody Mary, using the same tactics that worked for Scientology and would later work for Islamic groups, but they had mixed results. The episode got restricted in some places, but not others, the US mostly keeping it, while countries with more Catholic influence took it down. The episode also showed how crude humor makes censorship easier. Bloody Mary was not just satirizing Catholic miracle claims, it was doing it in the most offensive way possible. A statue having a period is meant to shock and gross people out, and the creators knew it would upset people, which was the point, but it also gave censors an easy excuse. They could say the episode was not banned for religious reasons, but for crude content, the period imagery giving them cover so they did not have to defend religious censorship, saying instead that they were protecting decency. Looking at Bloody Mary now, it is in a restricted state. You can watch it in most places, but not everywhere. The ban is not complete, like with 200 and 201, it is selective. certain countries do not allow it, certain streaming regions do not include it, and even where you can watch it, it airs less than other episodes. The Catholic Church successfully limited how many people could see the episode without getting it totally removed. A different kind of censorship, not a full ban, but a quiet hiding. The episode staying hidden enough that most regular viewers never see it. Only hardcore fans who look for it finding it and keeping it from spreading was probably what the church wanted. They could not erase the episode entirely, but they could make sure it did not spread too much, and that partial win showed religious groups they could affect content even in countries with strong free speech, as long as they applied the right pressure in the right markets. Do subscribe before the next one if this is landing for you. Moving on, we have Jubilee, which aired in July 1999 during Season 3. This was an early episode of religious satire. The plot followed Kyle and Ike going to a Jewish scout camp called Jubilee, featuring Jewish scouts doing activities and earning badges. But things got weird when the episode revealed the camp's secret ceremony. The kids summoned Moses, who appeared as a giant floating machine-like being. The episode made fun of both Jewish traditions and how people make kids' activities too serious. Some Jewish groups complained about how Moses was shown, others found it funny, and the episode faced restrictions in certain markets, getting edited for syndication, and it started a pattern of South Park treating Judaism differently than other religions, because Matt Stone and Trey Parker are Jewish themselves, which gave them more freedom, but also brought different kinds of criticism. The episode opened with Kyle and Ike preparing to attend Jewish scout camp. Their parents were excited, wanting the boys to connect with their heritage. The camp was called Jubilee, the Jewish version of a Boy Scout jamboree. Kyle was not thrilled about going, thinking it would be boring, but his parents insisted, and Ike was too young to understand, just going along with whatever Kyle did. They arrived and met the counselors and other scouts, and everything seemed normal at first. The kids did typical camp activities, learned songs, practiced traditions, and earned badges by completing Jewish-themed challenges. But then the episode revealed the camp had a darker secret. The adult leaders were part of a group called the Elders of Zion. This was South Park addressing an old anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. The real protocols of the Elders of Zion was a fake document used to spread hate against Jewish people, and South Park turned it into a joke. In their version, the elders were real but silly, wearing robes and doing ridiculous rituals, not trying to control the world, but just trying to run a scout camp. The joke was taking an anti-Semitic myth and making it ridiculous. The elders did a ceremony to call Moses, needing his guidance for the camp. The kids watched as the ritual started, the elders chanting and waving their hands, and then Moses appeared, but not the biblical figure from the Ten Commandments. He was a giant glowing machine with rotating parts and flashing lights, looking like something from a sci-fi movie, speaking in a deep mechanical voice. This was South Park's version of Moses, not a wise old man, but a cosmic being beyond human form, weird and unexpected. Funny, but also kind of respectful in a strange way. The show saying Moses was so holy and powerful, he could not even be shown as a human. Moses gave the elders instructions for running the camp, told them to continue teaching the children about their heritage, approved their plans, blessed the camp, and disappeared. The ceremony ended, and the kids were supposed to go back to normal activities, but things went wrong. One of the counselors named Garth wanted more power and tried to summon Moses again without permission, wanting to use Moses for his own reasons. The other elders tried to stop him, but Garth was too strong. He took control of the ceremony and brought Moses back, but this time Moses was mad, not wanting to be summoned twice, and started destroying things. The camp fell into chaos, and Kyle and the other scouts had to save everyone. They realized Garth was using Moses wrong. Moses was not supposed to be controlled or commanded. He was supposed to be respected and asked for help only when needed. Kyle convinced the other kids to work together, and they did a counter ritual, asking Moses to forgive them and return to wherever he came from. Moses listened, calmed down, and disappeared again. The camp was saved, the elders punished Garth, and everything returned to normal. Kyle learning that traditions and ceremonies matter, even if they seem silly. When Jubilee aired on July 28, 1999, people had mixed reactions. Some Jewish viewers loved it, thinking it was funny and well-meaning. Matt Stone is Jewish. He grew up attending Jewish events, and the episode came from personal experience. Stone knew the culture he was mocking, which made the satire real. It was not an outsider making fun of something he did not understand. It was an insider making fun of his own traditions, and many Jewish viewers liked that difference, laughing at the Moses machine and the silly rituals because they could tell it was mocking with love. But other Jewish groups were less happy. The Anti-Defamation League reviewed the episode. They did not ask for it to be banned, but they said they were worried about how Moses was shown, worried non-Jewish viewers might think it was real, that people might think Jews actually believed Moses was a giant machine. The ADL said the episode could reinforce stereotypes if people did not get that it was satire, and asked Comedy Central to be careful about how they advertised it. The network agreed to add context when they aired it again, but did not pull it or edit it. The bigger problem came with reruns. When South Park started airing in reruns on other networks, those networks had different standards. Basic cable channels that bought rerun rights wanted to edit episodes to make them more family-friendly, and Jubilee got edited, networks cutting certain lines, shortening the Moses scenes, and removing references they thought were too edgy. The edited version showed during the day, while the full version only showed late at night or on premium channels, so most people watching reruns saw a tampered version, the original full episode harder to find. Other countries also handled Jubilee differently. Some aired it without issue, others were more cautious. European networks usually kept it, being less sensitive about Jewish content, but some Middle Eastern countries banned it, not wanting to show anything depicting Jewish traditions, even as satire. The bans were not official government orders. The networks just decided not to include the episode in their South Park packages, since it was easier to skip one episode than deal with possible backlash. The episode became a strange test for how South Park handled Judaism versus other religions. The show could be harsher with Christian satire because Christianity was the dominant religion in America, and Christians were used to being mocked and had the cultural power to handle the jokes. Judaism was different. Jewish people were a minority who had been actually persecuted, and making fun of Judaism came with historical baggage. South Park tried to handle this by having one creator who was Jewish. Stone's involvement gave them permission to make fun of his own background, but it did not protect them from all criticism. Looking at Jubilee now, it is an interesting early example of how South Park handles religion. The episode was gentler than later religious satires. How they showed Moses was weird but not mean. The jokes about camp culture and rituals rather than actual Jewish beliefs. The episode respecting Judaism even while making fun of it. This balance worked for most viewers, and the episode did not get banned as much as later controversial content. It got edited for reruns, but that happened to most episodes, the restrictions about language and ratings rather than religious censorship. The episode proved South Park could make fun of Judaism without big backlash if they did it carefully. Having a Jewish creator helped, making the jokes loving instead of hateful helped, and choosing targets like Scout Camp instead of core beliefs helped. Jubilee showed the show could balance satire and offense when they wanted, the restrictions mild compared to what came later, but it started a pattern. Even early on, South Park's religious content was being watched, edited, and limited. The censorship started small with Jubilee, and it would get far worse with later episodes. Before we move on, subscribe if you are enjoying this breakdown. Up next is It Hits the Fan, which aired in June 2001 during Season 5. This episode was about TV language rules and censorship. The story was about a fictional TV show called Cop Drama that was going to say a certain harsh curse word on network television, uncensored. This was a big deal back then. Broadcast networks could not say certain curse words on TV. The FCC had strict rules, and cable networks had more freedom, but still avoided the worst words early in the day. South Park decided to test those limits, saying the word over 160 times. Comedy Central let it air, but the network got immediate backlash. The FCC did not fine them because cable is not regulated the same way as regular TV. But parent groups complained, advertisers got nervous, and the episode got heavily edited for future showings and reruns. It showed how language censorship works differently than content censorship, but still limits what shows can do. The setup was simple. The boys heard that a network TV show called Cop Drama was going to say the word on air for the first time ever, being advertised as a historic moment in television. The network was making a big deal about it, running ads saying the show was breaking barriers, making it seem important and brave. Everyone in South Park got excited, planning viewing parties, talking about how TV was changing. The hype was ridiculous. It was just one curse word, but the network treated it like the moon landing. South Park mocking how TV promotes controversial content to get better ratings. The show aired within the show, the Cop Drama characters saying the word on screen, and the South Park characters watching at home cheered, thinking it was cool and edgy. Then something weird started happening. People in South Park started saying the word all the time, until it became the only word anyone used. They said it in every sentence, worked it into normal conversations, the curse word spreading like a virus, people unable to stop themselves. The show was literalizing the idea that bad language spreads. Once you hear a word on TV, you start using it everywhere. The curse word problem got worse. People started getting sick from saying the word too much. A plague broke out. People died, their bodies unable to handle too much profanity. The word had become poisonous. Kyle and Stan realized what was happening. The TV show had let something dangerous into the world, and by making the curse word normal on TV, they had made it spread out of control, and now it was killing people. The boys had to find a way to stop it, so they went to the Knights of Standards and Practices, a secret group that protected language rules. The Knights explained that certain words had to stay forbidden, because if everyone said them all the time, they lost meaning and became poison. The boys helped the Knights lock the curse word away again, performing a ritual that made it forbidden once more, and people stopped saying it all the time. The plague ended, and lives were saved. The episode's message was that some boundaries exist for reasons, not because the words are evil, but because making everything acceptable makes nothing special. Curse words have power because we limit them, and if you say them all the time, they become meaningless noise. The show was defending censorship in a strange way, not total censorship, but the idea that some limits help keep things impactful. But the episode also broke every rule it was defending. South Park said the word 162 times during the episode, showing an on-screen counter keeping track. Every time someone said it, the number went up, and the counter became a running joke, characters saying the word multiple times in one sentence just to make the number climb. The episode was arguing for language restrictions while breaking those restrictions as much as possible. South Park's usual contradiction, mocking both sides. They made fun of networks for overhyping curse words, and they made fun of censorship by saying the word more times than any show ever had. When It Hits the Fan aired on June 20th, 2001, Comedy Central let the episode run uncensored, every use of the word airing clearly, the network not bleeping anything. This was shocking at the time. Cable networks usually censored strong language, even though they did not legally have to, censoring themselves to keep advertisers happy and avoid complaints. But Comedy Central made a business decision. The controversy would bring viewers, people would watch just to hear uncensored swearing, and the ratings would be huge, so they let it air exactly as the creators wanted. The ratings were huge. It Hits the Fan became one of South Park's most watched episodes, millions of people watching to see how many times the show would say the word, the on-screen counter making it an event. People had viewing parties, cheered when the counter hit certain numbers, and the episode became a cultural moment. News outlets covered it, parent groups held press conferences condemning it, and the controversy got massive publicity. Comedy Central got exactly what they wanted, and the FCC could not do anything to them. The FCC regulates broadcast TV. Networks like ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox have to follow strict language rules and get fined if they break them. But cable networks like Comedy Central are not under FCC control, since cable is a subscription service you choose to pay for, so the FCC has no power over cable content. Comedy Central could air whatever language they wanted without legal problems, which meant South Park could push limits regular TV shows could not. However, advertisers had power where the FCC did not. Big companies did not want their ads running during episodes with extreme swearing, worried about their brand being connected to it. If their product showed up next to 162 uses of the word, customers might think badly of them. Some advertisers pulled out of South Park after It Hits the Fan aired, telling Comedy Central they would not buy ads during the show anymore, which hurt the network financially, since ad money is how cable networks make money. Losing advertisers meant losing money, and Comedy Central had to decide whether the controversy was worth it. The network made changes when they showed it again. When It Hits the Fan went into reruns, Comedy Central censored it, bleeping most of the curse words, leaving some uncensored, but removing most. The on-screen counter stayed, but now it was counting bleeps instead of actual swearing, which made the episode less impactful. The whole point was hearing the word over and over, and bleeping it ruined the joke. But the network needed advertisers back, so they changed the episode to make advertisers happier. Reruns were even worse. When other networks bought the rights to air South Park reruns, they wanted heavy edits. Basic cable channels that showed the show during the day or early evening had strict rules and could not show swearing at all. So It Hits the Fan got edited so much it barely made sense, almost every use of the word bleeped, the counter becoming pointless, just characters moving their mouths while bleeps played. Some rerun packages took the episode out completely, since it was easier to skip it than edit it to follow the rules. Other countries handled the episode differently. Some showed it uncensored, having looser language rules than America. European networks showing it in full because they did not think the word was that bad, while other countries banned it completely. More conservative areas not wanting any swearing on TV, no matter what. Whether you could watch it varied a lot, depending on local TV rules. Looking at It Hits the Fan now, it is available on streaming but often edited. Some services have the uncensored version, others use the version with lots of bleeps, the choice seeming random. HBO Max has the uncensored version because HBO has always allowed swearing, while other platforms use censored versions to keep their ratings acceptable for more people. The original version exists, but it is not the main one on most platforms. The episode became important for a different reason over time. It showed that language censorship is more flexible than content censorship. Networks will fight religious groups and special interest groups, but they will give in to advertisers right away, because money matters more than values. Comedy Central let the episode air once uncensored because controversy brought viewers and attention, then censored it for reruns because advertisers wanted them to. The network making both decisions based on money, not values. It Hits the Fan also proved that breaking language rules does not change them forever. The episode said the word 162 times and made it normal for 30 minutes. But afterward, nothing changed. Networks went back to bleeping, swearing, and the rules stayed the same. The episode was a one-time thing, not a revolution. South Park thought they were pushing limits, but they were just getting a short exception, and the limits went back immediately after. Take a second to subscribe if this is worth your while. Moving on to Best Friends Forever, which came out in March 2005 in Season 9. The episode was about the Terry Schiavo case, a real-world controversy about end-of-life care. Schiavo was a woman in a vegetative state. Her husband wanted to remove her feeding tube, her parents wanted to keep her alive, and the case went to court and became a national argument about the right to die. South Park jumped into this controversy while it was happening. The episode mirrored the real case, but used Kenny as the patient. Kenny died and ended up in a vegetative state, and Cartman wanted to keep him alive for selfish reasons. The episode took a side on a sensitive, ongoing legal battle, which upset people on both sides. Some thought South Park was making light of a tragedy, others liked the commentary. The episode won an Emmy, but it also got limited in reruns, networks not wanting to show it, while the real Schiavo case was still in the news, demonstrating how current events can make episodes temporarily too sensitive to show. The episode started with Kenny getting a new PSP handheld game system. He was obsessed with it, playing it all the time, and while walking down the street playing it, he did not watch where he was going and got hit by a truck. The crash killed him, Kenny dying like he always did, but this time something different happened. Kenny went to heaven, and God met him and said Kenny was chosen for something special. Heaven was at war with hell, and God needed a commander to lead his army, and Kenny was that commander. But Kenny had to sign a paper accepting the job, and the paper was the PSP user agreement Kenny had signed without reading. By agreeing to the terms, Kenny unknowingly joined Heaven's army. Meanwhile, on Earth, Kenny's body was in the hospital, brain dead but on life support. The doctor said he was in a permanent vegetative state and would never wake up. Cartman showed up at the hospital wanting Kenny's PSP, since Kenny could not use it anymore, but the doctors would not let him have it, saying Kenny was technically still alive and his belongings could not be taken until he was officially dead. Cartman got mad. He needed Kenny to die so he could get the PSP, and he started trying to get Kenny off life support. Kyle and Stan disagreed with Cartman, thinking taking Kenny off life support was wrong, wanting to keep him alive as long as possible, thinking he might somehow get better. The two groups fought over Kenny's feeding tube. Cartman said Kenny was already dead, and keeping him on machines was pointless, while Kyle and Stan said life is sacred and you cannot kill someone just because it is convenient. The argument was exactly like the real Terry Schiavo case, South Park copying the actual arguments both sides were making in the news and in court. The episode brought in religious people and politicians. A character like President Bush got involved on the side of keeping Kenny alive, saying the government should protect life no matter what. Religious leaders protested outside the hospital, praying for Kenny, holding signs saying, "Let Kenny live." The controversy became national news within the episode, everyone with an opinion, the country splitting into groups, a perfect copy of what was happening in real life with the Schiavo case. In heaven, they needed Kenny urgently. The war with hell was at a critical moment, and God's army could not fight without their commander. But Kenny was stuck in limbo, having signed the agreement but not actually being in heaven, trapped in his vegetative body on Earth. Satan used this to gain an advantage, hell's army starting to win, heaven losing, God needing Kenny to die so he could be the commander, but the life support machines kept Kenny's body alive. The episode solved both problems at once. Cartman won the legal fight. The court said to remove Kenny's feeding tube, Kenny died on Earth and his soul went to heaven, where he became the commander and led God's army to victory. Heaven won the war, Satan lost, and Kenny was a hero in the afterlife. But on Earth, He was just a dead kid who got taken off life support. Cartman got the PSP, Kyle and Stan were devastated, and the ending was bittersweet and uncomfortable. When Best Friends Forever aired on March 30th, 2005, the real Terri Schiavo was still alive. She died the next day, on March 31st. South Park aired an episode about her situation literally hours before she died. The timing was shocking. The creators wrote and made the episode while the case was happening, rushing it to air while it was still relevant, and they did it, but it meant the episode came out at the most sensitive time possible. People were emotionally raw, the case all over the news for weeks, families fighting over it, politicians using it for politics, and South Park made a cartoon comedy about it. The reaction was intense. Some people praised the episode, thinking South Park handled it well. The show took a clear side, saying removing life support was the kind choice, that keeping someone alive in a vegetative state forever was cruel, and it made that point through comedy, but with a serious message. People who supported the right to die liked that South Park took their side. Other people were furious, thinking making fun of the Schiavo case was disrespectful. A woman had just died, her family was grieving, and South Park turned their tragedy into entertainment. Religious groups condemned the episode, saying it promoted euthanasia and disrespected how sacred life is. Comedy Central got pressure to stop showing the episode in reruns. The network defended it at first, calling it satire protected by free speech, noting that South Park always addressed current events and that this was no different. But advertisers got nervous, not wanting to be connected to the controversy, and some companies pulled their ads. The network started reconsidering. They did not ban the episode, but they waited to put it back into reruns. Usually an episode would rerun within weeks, but Best Friends Forever did not rerun for months, the network waiting for the controversy to calm down. When the episode came back to reruns, it aired late at night, Comedy Central hiding it in the schedule, not advertising it, not putting it in South Park marathons. The episode was there but hidden, this quiet censorship keeping it from being widely seen without officially banning it, so the network could say they were not censoring while really hiding the episode through scheduling. Streaming platforms handled it normally. By the time South Park went to streaming, the Schiavo case was old news, the immediate sensitivity gone, so services like HBO Max and Paramount Plus had Best Friends Forever without limits, and new viewers could watch it without knowing the real-life story, the episode becoming just another South Park episode, though for people who lived through the Schiavo case, it was still controversial. The episode won an Emmy for Best Animated Program, TV People recognizing it as good satire, which proved the creators' approach worked. They dealt with a sensitive topic at a sensitive time and made it work as art. The Emmy proved controversial content can be praised, but the award also made the initial censorship look worse. Networks hid an Emmy-winning episode because they were scared of backlash. Looking at Best Friends Forever now, it is like a time capsule, capturing a specific moment in American culture. The Terri Schiavo case was huge back then, but younger viewers might not remember it. The episode still works as comedy, but knowing the background makes it better. South Park was brave enough to talk about a current tragedy while it was happening. Most shows would wait until it was safe, but South Park did not wait, rushing the episode to air while people cared. Being so quick made the episode powerful and also risky, and networks learned they could delay reruns to avoid current controversies, this quiet censorship becoming a way to handle sensitive content without total bans. Before we move on, subscribe if you are enjoying this breakdown. Next up is The Death Camp of Tolerance, which came out in November 2002 in Season 6. This episode dealt with political correctness and tolerance in ways that made people uncomfortable. The story was about Mr. Garrison trying to get fired for being gay so he could sue the school for discrimination, so he acted extremely inappropriately in class, bringing his partner, Mr. Slave, and doing explicit things in front of the students. The school would not fire him because they were scared of looking intolerant. The episode used Nazi imagery and Holocaust references to make its point about tolerance going too far, which upset Jewish groups and LGBTQ groups. The episode argued that tolerance should not mean accepting genuinely harmful behavior, but how it made that point used shock humor that crossed lines for many viewers. Networks edited the episode heavily for reruns, some other countries banned it, and it became an example of how satire about being sensitive can be too insensitive to air unchanged. The episode started with the school announcing a new commitment to tolerance and diversity, wanting to make sure all teachers felt accepted no matter who they were. Mr. Garrison heard this and saw a chance. He was mad at the school for different reasons and wanted to get fired so he could sue for wrongful termination. But he knew the school would not fire him for being gay, since that would be discrimination, so he decided to act so inappropriately they would have to fire him, and then he could claim it was because he was gay. Garrison brought Mr. Slave to class, introducing him as his teaching assistant, and then started doing things clearly wrong for a classroom, making sexual comments and doing things no teacher should do in front of kids. The students were uncomfortable and told their parents, who complained to the school, saying Garrison was acting inappropriately and should be fired. But Principal Victoria said no, saying firing Garrison would make the school look intolerant, calling the parents homophobic, saying they only wanted him fired because he was gay. The parents said it was not about Garrison being gay, it was about what he was doing, that anyone doing those things in a classroom should be fired regardless of their sexual orientation. But the school would not listen, so scared of looking intolerant that they could not see actual bad behavior. The episode was making the point that tolerance has limits. You can accept who someone is while still holding them responsible for what they do. But the school mixed up the two, thinking any criticism of Garrison was bigotry. Stan, Kyle, and Cartman refused to go to Garrison's class, telling their parents what he was doing, and their parents supported them, saying the boys did not have to be somewhere that made them uncomfortable. The boys stayed home from school, but the school said this was not okay. If the boys did not go to class, they would be expelled. The parents made their case, and the school brought in a tolerance counselor who said the boys needed to learn to accept different lifestyles. The boys tried to explain they did not care that Garrison was gay, that they had a problem with what he was doing, but no one would listen, and the school sent the boys to a tolerance camp, supposedly to teach them to be more accepting. The camp was called the Museum of Tolerance, but when they got there, it was actually run like a concentration camp. Guards treated the boys like prisoners, made them do hard labor, starved and abused them. The episode was comparing forced tolerance teaching to Nazi brainwashing, saying forcing acceptance through punishment is itself intolerance. The imagery was extreme. South Park showing the boys in striped uniforms, guard towers, and barbed wire, using Holocaust imagery to make a point about political correctness. Other kids were at the camp for similar reasons, all having questioned someone's behavior and been called intolerant, the camp's goal being to break them until they accepted everything without criticism. The boys tried to survive, realizing the camp would not let them go until they said what the guards wanted, so they pretended to learn, telling the counselors they understood now, saying they were wrong to criticize anyone for any reason. The counselors believed them and let them go. The boys went back to school, where Mr. Garrison was still acting inappropriately, but now the boys stayed quiet, having learned that speaking up got them punished. The episode ended with the message that forced tolerance creates silence, not acceptance. People do not actually change their minds, they just stop saying what they think. This was South Park's point. Real tolerance comes from understanding, not force, and punishing people for being uncomfortable does not make them more accepting. It makes them scared to speak honestly. When it aired on November 20th, 2002, reactions were split. Some viewers liked the point about political correctness going too far, agreeing that tolerance should not mean accepting bad behavior, thinking the episode made a good point about the difference between accepting who someone is and excusing what they do. But other viewers were horrified by the Holocaust imagery. Using concentration camp imagery to make a point about tolerance, education seemed deeply inappropriate. Jewish groups criticized the episode, saying trivializing the Holocaust for a comedy bit was offensive and insensitive. LGBTQ groups were also upset, but for different reasons. They felt the episode portrayed gay men as predatory and inappropriate. What Mr. Garrison did in the classroom reinforced negative stereotypes, the episode seeming to say accepting LGBTQ people meant accepting inappropriate sexual behavior, and mixing those things up was harmful. LGBTQ people had spent decades fighting the idea that gay teachers were dangerous around kids, and the episode brought that stereotype back for laughs. Even though South Park's point was about actions versus who someone is, how they did it made gay men look bad. Comedy Central aired the episode as made but got complaints right away, defending it at first, saying South Park was making fun of both sides, both the intolerant school people and the inappropriate teacher, that it was not taking a side against LGBTQ people. But the complaints kept coming, and advertisers said they were worried, and the network started thinking about editing it for the future. When the episode went into reruns, Comedy Central made changes, cutting some of the more explicit classroom scenes and shortening the concentration camp parts, trying to make it less offensive without totally removing the point, but the cuts made the episode make less sense. You could tell scenes were missing, and the timing felt off. Rerun packages got even more edits. Basic cable networks that showed daytime South Park reruns could not show most of it, either skipping it or showing a version so edited it barely made sense. Other countries had mixed reactions. European networks mostly showed it without problems, being less sensitive about Holocaust imagery and satire, but some countries banned it. Germany would not show it because of their strict laws about Nazi imagery, since even in satire, showing concentration camps was illegal, and other countries with large Jewish populations also limited it. Whether you could watch the episode varied a lot by region. Streaming platforms eventually had the episode, but often with warnings. HBO Max added a warning before it played, explaining the episode had content some viewers might find offensive, and saying the Holocaust references were satire, letting the platform keep the episode while flagging its content as sensitive, and other services did similar things. Looking at the death camp of tolerance now, it is still controversial. The episode made a real point about the limits of tolerance. You can accept who people are while still holding them responsible for what they do, and tolerance does not mean accepting everything without criticism. But South Park made that point using shock humor many people found offensive. The Holocaust imagery was too much for some viewers, and how they showed Mr. Garrison reinforced negative stereotypes about gay men. The episode tried to make fun of both sides, but ended up offending multiple groups. The censorship was gentler than total bans. Networks edited it, but kept it available, which showed the episode was complicated, not hateful enough for a total ban, but offensive enough to need edits, so a changed version showed in most places. The full unedited episode is on DVD and some streaming platforms, but regular viewers watching reruns saw the edited version, this partial censorship becoming common for controversial South Park episodes. Networks wanted to keep showing the show, but needed to make it less offensive, so they cut scenes and shortened parts, and the episode survived, but changed. Do subscribe before the next one if this is landing for you. Moving on, we have The China Problem, which came out in October 2008 in Season 12. This episode combined two controversial topics, Chinese politics and sexual violence, used as a comparison for a specific movie. The episode showed Cartman upset about how China treated America, thinking China was taking over the world, comparing it to the movie Red Dawn, where communists invade America. Meanwhile, the episode made fun of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The boys were traumatized by watching the movie and kept saying the movie assaulted Indiana Jones, using assault as a way to describe how the movie destroyed the franchise. This upset sexual assault survivors and support groups, who said using assault as a casual comparison makes real trauma seem less important. With the China content too, the episode got restricted in multiple places, some countries editing it, others banning it completely, and streaming platforms in certain areas still do not have it today. The episode started with the boys watching Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in theaters. They were excited, loving Indiana Jones, but the movie was terrible, with a ridiculous plot and bad special effects. The boys left the theater devastated, feeling like the movie destroyed something they loved. Stan said it felt like they had been violated, and Cartman agreed, and they started using assault imagery to describe it, saying George Lucas and Steven Spielberg had assaulted Indiana Jones. The episode showed this literally, Lucas and Spielberg appearing as characters attacking the Indiana Jones character, the depiction explicit and disturbing, South Park using shocking imagery to show how fans felt about bad sequels ruining franchises. The comparison kept going through the episode. The boys talked about it constantly and went to support groups for people traumatized by bad movies, meeting other fans who had watched their favorite franchises get destroyed by terrible sequels, everyone describing it as an assault. The episode was making fun of how fans use extreme language when they are disappointed. People say things like that movie killed my childhood, or they destroyed my favorite character, and South Park took that language literally, showing Lucas and Spielberg physically attacking characters meant to be ridiculous and shocking. Meanwhile, Cartman dealt with his China fears. He watched the Beijing Olympics, saw China's growing power and influence, and got paranoid that China would invade America. He started preparing for when China took over, learning basic Chinese phrases and studying Chinese culture, wanting to be useful to the invaders so they would not kill him. The other boys thought he was being ridiculous. Kyle explained China was not going to invade, that they were a business partner, but Cartman did not believe it, seeing Chinese influence everywhere, thinking it was only a matter of time before they took over. His fears got worse. He started having nightmares about Chinese soldiers walking through South Park, imagining his town taken over by a foreign country, comparing it to Red Dawn, a 1980s movie about a Soviet invasion. In his mind, China was the new Soviet Union, communists planning to destroy American freedom. This fear made him do extreme things. He tried to organize resistance, wanted to form a militia, tried to get other kids to prepare for war, but nobody took him seriously. The two stories came together at the end. The boys realized worrying about China and bad movies were both examples of misplaced anger. They were focusing on things they could not control. China was not going to invade, and bad movies were not actual violence. They needed perspective. The episode tried to end with a message about not turning disappointments into catastrophes, but the damage was done. The assault imagery took over the episode, and the message got lost in the controversy. When it aired on October 8, 2008, reactions focused on the assault content. Sexual assault groups condemned the episode right away, saying using assault as a comparison for bad movies was deeply offensive, that assault is a serious crime causing real trauma, and comparing it to watching a disappointing sequel makes that trauma seem less important. The groups asked Comedy Central to apologize and pull the episode, organizing campaigns asking advertisers to stop supporting South Park. Some viewers defended the episode, saying South Park was making fun of how fans overreact to bad movies, that the extreme imagery was meant to show how ridiculous the language was. By taking the phrase literally, South Park was showing how wrong it is, the satire pointing out that fans should not use such comparisons casually. But critics said it did not work. Even if the intent was to criticize the language, showing explicit assault imagery made things worse, the satire requiring traumatizing content to make its point, and that was not worth it. Comedy Central defended the episode at first, calling it satire like South Park normally does, saying the show always pushed limits, and this was no different. But pressure built, advertisers started pulling out, and the network reconsidered. They did not ban the episode, but they made changes. Future showings got edited, the most explicit content removed, talk of assault shortened. The edits made the episode less offensive, but also made less sense, the comparison not working as well when you could not see what they were describing. Other countries had different problems. The China content created issues in Asian markets. Some countries did not want to show episodes that depicted China badly, and even though the episode was making fun of American fear of China, networks worried about political problems, editing the China scenes, or removing the episode completely. This happened in several Asian countries, the episode becoming unavailable not because of the assault content, but because of political sensitivity. China banned all of South Park years later, and the China problem helped make that happen. The Chinese government tracks how their country is depicted in foreign media, and episodes that make fun of China or portray it as threatening get noticed. So when South Park later made banned in China, all the episodes together led to a total ban, and the China problem was part of that. Streaming platforms handled the episode all over the place. In Western regions, it is usually available with warnings. HBO Max has it, but adds a warning about sensitive content, and other platforms do similar things. But in Asian regions and areas with large Chinese populations, the episode often gets removed from streaming. The mix of assault content and China material made it too problematic for worldwide distribution, and networks decided it was easier to leave it out. Support groups used the China problem as an example when talking about harmful media, citing it when saying assault jokes and comparisons make sexual violence seem normal, the episode becoming something used to teach what not to do, media classes showing clips to explain why using assault casually is harmful. South Park probably did not mean to become an example of bad satire, but that is what happened. Looking at the China problem now, it shows how multiple controversies can pile up. The assault content alone would have caused problems. The China content alone would have caused different problems, and together, they made the episode problematic in multiple ways for different people, which limited where it could show and how. The episode exists but with limits. You can find it on some platforms, in some areas, with some edits, but there is no one version everyone can watch. The censorship is split across different places for different reasons, making it a complicated example of how worldwide distribution affects content. What is okay in one country becomes banned in another, and the China problem got caught in that divide. Before we move on, subscribe if you are enjoying this breakdown. Up next is Pinewood Derby, which aired in March 2009 during Season 13. This episode was about cheating and world politics in unexpected ways. The story started with Stan building a Pinewood Derby car for a school competition. Randy helped him, but decided to cheat by using alien technology. The car went so fast that actual aliens noticed it, and then the episode turned into a story about space travel and interplanetary politics. Earth's leaders lied to alien civilizations about how advanced humans were, stole from aliens, and blamed each other. The episode made several countries look bad, including Finland and Mexico, but the biggest issue was how it portrayed Middle Eastern countries, showing leaders from that region as dishonest and manipulative. This got it banned in multiple countries. The UK edited it, Middle Eastern markets pulled it completely, and the episode showed how different places censor different content based on local politics. The episode began simply enough. South Park Elementary was having a Pinewood Derby competition, where kids build small wooden cars and race them down a track. Stan wanted to win and asked Randy to help build the car. Randy said yes, but was not good at building things. His car kept falling apart while other dads were building amazing cars for their kids. Randy felt like a failure and did not want Stan to lose because of him, so he decided to cheat. Randy worked at the South Park lab and could use special equipment, so he snuck in after hours and used particle accelerators and advanced tech to build a super-powered engine for Stan's car, an engine far beyond anything that should be in a kid's toy, using ideas from theoretical physics. Randy did not really understand what he was doing. He just wanted Stan to win, so he put the engine in the car and told Stan it was ready. Stan trusted his dad and did not know about the cheating. The race happened, all the kids lined up their cars, and the race started. Stan's car did not just win, it broke the sound barrier, going so fast it literally flew off the track and kept going, shooting up into the sky, leaving Earth's atmosphere and going into space. The whole town watched in shock, having never seen anything like it. Stan's car became a spacecraft, and Randy realized he had gone too far, but it was too late. The car was gone. Then aliens showed up. Multiple alien groups detected Stan's car, tracked the technology signal, and came to Earth to investigate. Alien representatives met with world leaders and explained that Earth had just demonstrated faster-than-light travel, which was supposed to be impossible for humans at their level. The aliens were part of a space community with rules. New species could only join after reaching certain technology levels, and Earth apparently cheated somehow. The aliens wanted to know how humans made this tech so fast. World leaders panicked, realizing Randy's cheat had exposed Earth to alien attention, and that if the aliens found out humans did not actually have advanced tech, there would be consequences. So the leaders made up a story, saying humans developed the engine through real research, pretending Earth was more advanced than it really was. The aliens believed them and let Earth into their space group, setting up trade relationships and sending valuable materials and tech to Earth. Earth's leaders saw a chance to get rich, but the alien trade deals required honesty. If anyone lied or cheated, there were harsh punishments. Earth's leaders decided to cheat anyway, stealing from the aliens, taking things without paying, and blaming the stealing on each other. The episode showed different world leaders lying and pointing fingers. The President of Mexico stole, the Prime Minister of Finland stole, leaders from Middle Eastern countries stole, everyone corrupt. The episode showed world politics as a con game where every country tried to cheat everyone else. The alien group found out, investigated the stealing, and realized Earth's leaders were all lying. The aliens decided humans were not ready for the space community, cut off all contact, took back everything they had given, and erased Earth from their records. Earth was banned from space travel and alien contact forever, humans blowing their chance because leaders could not stop cheating and lying. The episode ended with Earth alone and isolated, all because Randy cheated at a kid's race. When it aired on March 25, 2009, most viewers focused on how absurd the story was, a typical South Park thing where a situation spirals out of control, a small cheat at a school event leading to space consequences. But other countries' networks noticed the political content. The episode showed leaders from specific countries as thieves and liars, creating political sensitivity. Some countries did not want to show episodes that made their leaders look bad, even as satire. The UK edited the episode before showing it, British networks cutting or changing scenes depicting certain world leaders, being careful about which countries got mocked, the edits trying to make the satire more general and less specific. But this made the episode confusing, with scenes clearly missing and the timing off, and British viewers who later saw the unedited version online realized how much got changed. Middle Eastern regions had bigger problems. The episode showed leaders from that area as especially corrupt, depicted as the worst ones in the stealing scheme, so networks in Middle Eastern countries decided not to show the episode at all, not wanting to depict their governments being mocked. Even though it was comedy, it crossed lines about respecting leaders, and the episode got pulled from TV schedules completely, viewers in those areas never seeing it on TV. Other countries did the same. Mexico was not happy about being in the corruption story, and Finnish networks questioned why their country was specifically named. The episode tried to show all countries were equally corrupt, but by naming specific countries, it created individual controversies, each country having to decide whether to show it, and many said no. The censorship was different from religious bans or content limits. This was political censorship, governments and networks not wanting to show content that made specific countries look bad, since even in satire there are limits to what you can say about current political leaders in some places, and South Park crossed those limits. The episode was available in the US without problems, since American networks do not worry about offending foreign governments, but showing it in other countries required either edits or total removal. Streaming platforms had similar problems. When South Park went to worldwide streaming, Pinewood Derby became an issue in different regions. It was available in North America, available in most of Europe with some edits, but blocked in Middle Eastern regions and limited in several other areas. The streaming services used location tracking to control what showed in different countries, so viewers in blocked areas could not watch the episode even if they paid for the service. This created a fragmented viewing experience, South Park fans in different countries able to watch different episodes. Someone in the US could watch the full series, while someone in another region had episodes missing. The gaps unexplained, the episodes just not there. International fans having to use VPNs or piracy to see the full series, since legal ways to watch were incomplete. Looking at Pinewood Derby now, it shows how political content gets censored differently than religious or offensive content. Networks will fight to keep shock humor and crude jokes, defending artistic freedom, but they will quietly remove episodes that create political problems. Political censorship happens behind the scenes, no press releases or public arguments, the episodes just disappearing from certain places. Pinewood Derby still exists and airs in the US, but it is basically banned in multiple countries, and most viewers do not even know it is missing, which makes it work better as censorship than public bans. If no one realizes something got removed, no one complains about it. Take a second to subscribe if this is worth your while. Moving on to Banned in China, which came out in October 2019, in Season 23. This episode directly criticized China's government and censorship. The story showed Randy trying to sell weed in China, while Stan started a death metal band that got popular in America. A Chinese company wanted to sell the band's music in China, but wanted changes to make it acceptable for Chinese censorship. The episode showed how entertainment companies censor themselves to get into the Chinese market, talking about Winnie the Pooh, Tiananmen Square, and Chinese labor camps, showing Disney and other companies giving up their values for money. China's government was furious and banned all of South Park from the Chinese internet. Every episode got taken off streaming, and the show disappeared from Chinese social media. Matt Stone and Trey Parker made a sarcastic apology that made things worse, and the ban is still going today. Banned in China is the ultimate example of one episode causing total censorship. The episode started with Randy going to China, wanting to expand his farm business, Tegrity Farms, into China, which had millions of potential customers, and Randy thinking he could get rich selling weed there. But he did not understand Chinese laws or culture and showed up unprepared, so Chinese officials arrested him right away and put him in a work camp. Randy was forced to work making products for American companies, assembling toys and electronics, and he saw terrible conditions, the workers treated like slaves. The episode was showing the reality of Chinese work camps that make products for Western stores. Meanwhile, in South Park, Stan started a death metal band with the boys called Crimson Dawn, playing aggressive music with dark lyrics. The band got popular locally, posted videos online, and their music spread beyond Colorado. A record company noticed them and wanted to sign Crimson Dawn, seeing the band could go mainstream. But there was a catch. The company wanted to sell the music in China, a huge market where bands that make it there make huge money. But Chinese censorship was strict, so the band would need to change their lyrics and look. The record company explained the rules. No talking about death or violence, no dark imagery, no political content, everything approved by Chinese censors. Stan fought it at first, not wanting to compromise his art, but the money was tempting, and the company showed him how much he could make, and the other band members wanted the deal, pressuring Stan to say yes. Eventually, he gave in, and Crimson Dawn started changing their music to fit what China wanted. The episode went back and forth between Randy in the work camp and Stan dealing with censorship, the connection clear. Both were being controlled by Chinese government rules, Randy literally in prison, Stan artistically in prison, both showing how China has power over foreign people and companies. The episode was not subtle. It directly criticized China's human rights violations and censorship. Then the episode brought in other entertainment companies, showing Disney executives talking about the Chinese market, discussing removing content that might offend Chinese censors, mentioning how Disney censored other movies to get into China. The episode showed NBA executives doing the same thing, referencing a real situation where an NBA manager tweeted support for Hong Kong protesters, and the league apologized to China. South Park was calling out how American companies give in to Chinese pressure for money. The episode used specific examples, China bans. It showed Winnie the Pooh, banned in China because people compare him to President Xi Jinping, talked about Tiananmen Square, heavily censored in Chinese media, and showed conditions in work camps China says do not exist. Everything was designed to break Chinese censorship rules, and the creators knew this would cause problems and did it anyway. Randy eventually escaped the work camp, got home, and realized China was not worth it. Stan quit the record deal, and Crimson Dawn went back to playing uncensored music for smaller crowds. The episode's message was that artistic honesty and freedom matter more than Chinese money, that American companies should stop censoring themselves to please a foreign dictatorship. The episode ended with Stan rejecting the whole compromise, deciding he would rather be poor and free than rich and controlled. When it aired on October 2, 2019, China reacted right away. The episode was a direct attack on the Chinese government and broke every censorship rule China had, and officials acted fast. Within days, every South Park episode disappeared from Chinese streaming, the whole show banned, all old seasons removed, social media posts about South Park deleted. You could not even search the show's name on the Chinese internet. It was a total blackout. Matt Stone and Trey Parker responded with a sarcastic apology, posting a statement saying they were sorry for upsetting the Chinese government, but the apology was clearly mocking, referencing specific times American companies really apologized to China, saying things like, "We too love money more than freedom and democracy." The statement was full of sarcasm, making clear South Park was not really apologizing or changing. The fake apology made things worse. Chinese officials were insulted and expanded the ban, so that not only was South Park blocked in China, but talking about the show became more restricted, people who posted about it online facing consequences. The government wanted South Park completely erased from the Chinese internet, and they mostly did it, the show becoming impossible for Chinese people to watch. Western media covered the ban heavily, news outlets praising South Park for standing up to China, comparing the show's response with how other companies apologized and censored themselves. Disney, the NBA, and various Hollywood studios had all given in to get into Chinese markets, but South Park refused, and the ban proved the episode's message was right. China did censor foreign content, and American companies did give in to that censorship. The ban had money consequences for Comedy Central and Viacom, who lost the whole Chinese market for South Park, millions of potential viewers, and a lot of money. But the network supported the creators, not forcing an apology or removing the episode. This was different from how Comedy Central handled the Muhammad episodes. With Muhammad, the network censored and limited content, but with China, they stood strong. The difference being that threats from Islamic extremists felt more immediate and dangerous than money pressure from China. Other streaming platforms had to make choices. Services operating in China took South Park off their lists, while services operating internationally kept it, creating a clear divide. You could watch South Park in free countries, but not in China, the ban becoming a sign of freedom, having access to South Park meaning living somewhere with free speech. The episode also changed how other shows handled China. After seeing the total ban from Banned in China, other creators were more careful, avoiding directly criticizing the Chinese government, the chilling effect real. South Park had the money, stability, and independence to survive a Chinese ban, but smaller shows did not. They could not risk losing the Chinese market, so they censored themselves, the episode's warning about entertainment companies giving in for Chinese money, proven right by how the industry reacted. Looking at Banned in China now, it is the most complete censorship South Park has ever faced. Individual episodes got banned in certain countries, but this was the whole show getting erased from a major market. Over 1.4 billion people lost access to South Park because of one episode. The ban is still going years later, nothing having changed. China has not lifted it, and South Park has not really apologized, the standoff continuing. The episode became a symbol of fighting Chinese censorship. Fans wear Banned in China merchandise, and the episode gets discussed in conversations about companies censoring themselves. It proved standing up to China is possible, but has consequences, and most companies will not take that risk. South Park did, and paid the price with a total ban, but also got respect for refusing to give in. The ban proved everything the episode said about Chinese censorship, the most honest proof the creators could have gotten. Before we move on, subscribe if you are enjoying this breakdown. Next up is Mr. Hanky's complete removal. Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh, was a character in South Park for over 20 years. He first showed up in Season 1, a talking piece of poop who brought Christmas joy to the town. The character was gross, but fans loved him, and he became a regular part of South Park's Christmas episodes. But in 2018, everything changed. The episode. The Problem with Apu showed Mr. Hanky getting cancelled for offensive tweets. The town kicked him out, and he moved away. The episode was supposed to be about cancel culture, but it became Mr. Hanky's actual goodbye. The character has not shown up since, and some streaming services took his episodes out completely. This was not just about censoring one episode, this was about erasing a character from the show's history, showing how cultural change can get rid of characters that do not fit anymore. Mr. Hanky was created as South Park's alternative to traditional Christmas characters. Kyle could not celebrate Christmas because he was Jewish and felt left out during the holidays, so he invented Mr. Hanky, a talking poop who sang songs and spread holiday cheer. The character was deliberately crude. That was the joke. Christmas specials were usually wholesome and family-friendly, and South Park made their Christmas mascot literally a piece of poop, offensive on purpose, but also weirdly heartwarming. Mr. Hanky represented inclusion. He was there for kids who did not fit into traditional holidays. The character appeared in multiple episodes over the years, had his own Christmas special, and showed up in holiday episodes regularly. He got a family, a wife, and kids who were also talking poop, and the show built stories around him. He lived in the sewers under South Park and only came out at Christmas. Kids loved him, but adults thought he was disgusting, which created comedy. Mr. Hanky representing childlike wonder versus adult cynicism. The character became iconic. Fans bought Mr. Hanky merchandise, and he was one of South Park's most recognizable original characters. But as culture changed, Mr. Hanky became problematic. The character's whole thing was based on gross humor. He was literally poop, and that idea did not age well. What was edgy and funny in 1997 felt childish and offensive by 2018. The show changed too. South Park was doing more political and social commentary, dealing with serious topics, and Mr. Hanky felt like something from the show's cruder early days. The creators started backing away from him. He appeared less, his episodes did not rerun as much, and the character was quietly fading. Then came Season 22, Episode 9, called The Problem with Apu. This episode directly addressed where Mr. Hanky fit in modern South Park. The story showed Mr. Hanky getting a Twitter account and posting offensive content, racist jokes, sexist comments, inflammatory political statements, the tweets getting worse and worse. People in South Park were horrified. They had loved Mr. Hanky as a Christmas character, but now he was embarrassing them. The town had a meeting and argued about what to do. Some wanted to forgive him, saying he was going through something and needed help, while others wanted him gone, saying his tweets crossed lines that could not be uncrossed. The episode was clearly about cancel culture, showing how public figures get destroyed for controversial statements, examining whether people deserve second chances or if some things are unforgivable. Mr. Hanky was like celebrities who got canceled for offensive behavior, and the town's argument mirrored real-world arguments about accountability versus forgiveness. But the episode also felt personal. The creators seemed to be struggling with what to do with a character they had outgrown. Mr. Hanky did not fit South Park anymore, and the episode was how they got rid of him. The town decided Mr. Hanky had to go. They could not have him as their Christmas character anymore. He was too toxic. They held a ceremony to say goodbye, and Mr. Hanky was hurt and angry, feeling abandoned by people who had loved him for years. But he left, moving to Springfield, the town from The Simpsons. The ending was sad and final. Mr. Hanky rode away on a train, the townspeople watching him go, feeling guilty but also relieved, the character gone. The episode ended with South Park having to figure out Christmas without him. When it aired on December 5, 2018, fans immediately knew it was Mr. Hanky's goodbye. The episode was not subtle, it was clearly writing the character off the show forever. Some fans were sad. They grew up with Mr. Hanky, he was part of South Park, and losing him felt like losing a piece of the show's history. Other fans thought it was the right choice. The character was outdated, humor that did not work anymore, and the show was better off moving on. But then something unexpected happened. Some streaming services started removing Mr. Hanky episodes from their libraries, not just The Problem with Apu. Earlier episodes with the character also disappeared. The original Mr. Hanky's Christmas Classic special got pulled from certain platforms, and episodes where he appeared as a side character got edited or removed. This went beyond the character leaving the show. This was erasing him from the past. Services were trying to remove Mr. Hanky from South Park's history. The removals were not everywhere. Some platforms kept all the episodes, others removed some, but not all. And there was no clear pattern, different platforms making different choices about how to handle Mr. Hanky content. Some thought his episodes were too crude for modern audiences, others did not care and kept everything. Fans noticed the inconsistencies, complaining online about episodes being missing, wanting access to all South Park episodes. Comedy Central never officially said they were censoring Mr. Hanky. There was no statement about removing episodes. The character just quietly disappeared from certain places, and this quiet censorship was harder to fight than total bans. If a network says they are removing something, fans can protest. But when things just disappear without explanation, there is nothing to fight. The episodes were gone, and no one took responsibility for removing them. Things got more complicated over time. When South Park went to HBO Max, fans checked which episodes were there. Most Mr. Hanky episodes were there, but some were not. The original Christmas special missing at first, before being added back later after complaints. Other platforms had different gaps. Hulu's South Park library, when they had it, did not include certain Mr. Hanky episodes, and Paramount Plus eventually got the full library. But that took time, what was available constantly changing. Looking at Mr. Hanky's removal now, it is a new kind of censorship. This was not about religious offense or politics. This was about a character aging badly. The show itself decided he did not fit anymore, and then platforms decided his old episodes might offend modern viewers, so they removed or limited them. This created a situation where a character who was popular for 20 years got erased from parts of the show's history. Future viewers on certain platforms will not see Mr. Hanky's episodes and will not get references to him. The character is being erased, not because he was always bad, but because culture changed. This raises questions about preserving older content. Should shows be able to remove characters and episodes that do not fit current values anymore, or should everything be available with warnings? Mr. Hanky was not hateful or dangerous, just crude. But crude humor from the late 1990s feels different now, and some platforms decided that difference was enough reason to remove it, while others kept everything and let viewers decide. The lack of consistency is frustrating for fans. They do not know which platform has which episodes. The complete South Park experience broken up across different services. The Mr. Hanky situation also shows how self-censorship works. South Park chose to get rid of the character, then platforms chose to hide his old episodes, and neither choice was forced by outside groups. No one boycotted over Mr. Hanky. No religious groups asked for his removal, the censorship coming from inside. The creators and distributors decided the character was risky and removed him ahead of time to avoid possible problems, which is arguably worse than outside censorship. When creators censor themselves and platforms hide old content without being asked, it means the chilling effect is complete. People are anticipating offense and removing content before anyone complains. Do subscribe before the next one if this is landing for you. Moving on, we have the streaming platform divide. Some South Park episodes only exist on DVD now. They are not available on any streaming service, and you cannot watch them legally without buying DVDs. This creates a divide between streaming viewers and DVD collectors. Streaming is how most people watch TV today, but streaming libraries are incomplete. Episodes get removed, content gets censored, and platforms make different choices about what to include. The result is that the full South Park experience is not available to everyone. Some episodes are too controversial for streaming, others got caught in rights problems, and some just disappeared without explanation. The streaming platform divide shows how modern ways of distributing content create new types of censorship. Content that exists becomes unavailable simply because no platform wants to carry it. Moving to streaming changed how people get content. For years, South Park aired on Comedy Central. You could watch new episodes on TV, old episodes went into reruns, and if you wanted to own them, you bought DVDs. The DVD sets had every episode uncensored with commentary. They were the official version of the show. But most people did not buy DVDs, they just watched whatever aired on TV. Then streaming happened. Services like Hulu and Netflix started offering whole TV series on demand, and South Park eventually got onto streaming platforms, so fans could now watch any episode whenever they wanted. But the streaming libraries were not complete. Certain episodes were missing from the start. The Muhammad episodes obviously were not there. 200 and 201 never made it to streaming, and Super Best Friends was gone. These missing ones made sense given the controversies, but then other episodes started disappearing too. Episodes that aired normally for years, suddenly not on streaming. Fans noticed gaps in season lists, episodes jumping from number 3 to number 5 with 4 missing, sometimes whole seasons having multiple missing episodes, the gaps unexplained, just there. Different platforms had different gaps. When South Park was on Hulu, certain episodes were missing. When it went to HBO Max, some of those came back, but others disappeared. Paramount Plus eventually got the streaming rights, and their library was more complete, but still not everything. International platforms had even more limits. Netflix in different countries had heavily censored episode lists, some regions getting less than half the full series, what was available depending entirely on where you lived and which service you paid for. The DVD sets were still the only way to get everything. DVDs had episodes streaming removed, the uncensored versions only on DVD, commentary that explained controversies only on DVD, so fans who wanted the complete South Park had to buy old technology, but fewer people had DVD players. Streaming was easier, and most homes got rid of DVDs completely, creating a situation where the complete show was technically available, but actually hard to get for regular viewers. The divide got worse over time. As streaming took over, platforms felt more pressure to pick what content to show. They did not want controversial episodes causing problems, so they removed content ahead of time that might get complaints. This was not traditional censorship with public arguments. It was quiet removal based on assessing risk. Platforms looked at episodes and decided which ones were not worth possible backlash, and those episodes got taken off the library. No announcements, no explanations, they just stopped being available. Rights problems created more issues. South Park used real songs, news footage, and clips from other shows. When the series aired on TV, these were covered under TV agreements, but streaming needed different licenses. Some rights owners wanted more money for streaming. Others would not allow their content on streaming at all, which meant episodes that needed specific music or footage had to be edited or removed. The show lost content not because of censorship, but because of legal problems. Music was a big issue. South Park episodes often used real songs to create atmosphere and add to jokes, but music rights for streaming are expensive, so platforms sometimes replace the original music with generic substitutes, which changed how episodes felt. Emotional moments lost impact, and jokes did not work the same way. Fans who remembered the original broadcasts noticed these changes and complained about episodes being altered, but there was nothing they could do. The music rights were too expensive or unavailable, and the episodes stayed changed. Celebrity appearances created similar problems. South Park often had real people playing themselves, or parody versions, and some celebrities later did not like how they were shown, threatening to sue if episodes stayed available, so platforms removed these episodes to avoid lawsuits. The legal threats were not about censorship, but about being insulted and image rights, but the result was the same. Episodes disappeared from streaming. The platform divide also affected how episodes looked. Streaming services compressed video to save space, which made picture quality worse than DVDs, the compression especially hurting older episodes. Early South Park seasons were made in lower resolution, and streaming compression made them look even worse, while DVDs kept better quality. Fans who cared about picture quality had to stick with DVDs, but again, most people did not have DVD players anymore, accepting lower quality streaming for easier access. Commentary and special features totally disappeared on streaming. DVDs had creator commentary for every episode. Matt Stone and Trey Parker explained references, talked about controversies, and shared behind-the-scenes stories, all of which added context and depth and helped viewers understand controversial episodes better. But streaming platforms did not have commentary, only the episodes, so all that extra material was lost, and fans who wanted it had to find old DVDs. The situation showed a bigger problem with streaming. DVDs gave you permanent ownership. Once you bought a DVD, you owned it forever, and the content could not be taken away or censored. But streaming was a rental service. You paid for access, not ownership, and the platform could change what was available anytime. Episodes removed without warning, edits made quietly, and you had no control. Your subscription only guaranteed access to whatever the platform chose to offer, which could be the full series or a censored selection, and you would not know until you tried to watch. Looking at the streaming platform divide now, it shows how modern ways of distributing content create new censorship opportunities. In the past, censorship was visible. Networks banned episodes and people noticed, complained, and there were news stories. But now episodes just disappear into streaming, removed quietly, different platforms having different libraries, the show broken up, no single legal place having everything. This spreads out responsibility. No one platform is censoring the whole show, they are each just making their own choices about their own library. But together, those choices add up to huge censorship. The divide also shows why DVD preservation matters. DVDs are old technology, but they are the only way to get complete uncensored versions of shows, and as fewer people have DVD players, this content becomes hard to get. Eventually, they will stop making DVDs, used copies will become collector's items, and at that point, the complete South Park will only exist in private collections and pirated files, the legal complete version ceasing to exist. This is happening slowly but surely. Streaming is the future, but streaming is incomplete, and the gap between what exists and what is available keeps getting bigger. Fans have adapted by using different sources. They pay for streaming for easy access to most episodes, buy DVDs for the missing ones, and use piracy sites to find episodes no platform has. This fragmented approach is the only way to see the complete show, inconvenient and technically illegal at times, but it is what the system created. The streaming platform divide has made pirates and collectors out of fans who would rather just pay for real access. But real access does not have everything, so fans do what they have to. Before we move on, subscribe if you are enjoying this breakdown. Up next are the episodes that only exist in edited form. Some South Park episodes were never totally banned. They still air on TV and are on streaming, but they are not the original versions. Networks went back years after these episodes first aired and made changes, removing scenes, adding bleeps, cutting dialogue. The episodes exist, but only altered, the originals lost to most viewers. You can find them on old DVDs if you are lucky, or through piracy sites that saved the originals, but legally and easily, you can only watch the edited versions. This is a different kind of censorship. The episodes were not removed, they were quietly changed, and most viewers do not even know they are watching altered versions, which makes it work better than total bans, because if people do not realize something was censored, they will not complain about it. This started in South Park's early seasons. When episodes first aired, Comedy Central had looser rules. The network was new and trying to attract viewers, so they let controversial content through because controversy made people talk. South Park became famous for pushing limits, episodes airing with minimal censorship, crude jokes staying in, offensive language staying uncensored, visual jokes that crossed lines getting through. This was how the show built its reputation as the cartoon that did things other shows would not dare. But as years passed, standards changed. Comedy Central became a major network with more to lose. Advertisers got more cautious, parent groups got more organized, and the network started looking back at what they had, examining old South Park episodes to see which ones might cause problems. They found dozens that made them nervous, episodes that aired fine in 1998, feeling too risky in 2005, and they decided to edit them, not remove them, just make them less intense, safer for modern viewers. The edits happened quietly. Comedy Central did not announce they were changing old episodes, they just did it. When episodes went into reruns, the edited versions got sent out. When streaming deals got made, the edited versions got uploaded. The network made new master copies with the changes built in, and the originals became harder to find. DVD sets released early had the originals, but later, DVD releases sometimes had edited versions too, the changes spreading across all distribution. Different episodes got different edits. Some had language censored, words that aired uncensored originally getting bleeped in reruns, happening to swearing and slurs, the network going back and adding bleeps to words they let through years earlier. Other episodes had visual edits, scenes cut short, controversial images removed, jokes that needed those images no longer making sense, but the episode staying in rotation with the jokes broken. Religious content got targeted a lot. Early episodes with Jesus got edited, scenes showing him in bad situations shortened or removed, Jewish humor toned down, Catholic jokes softened, the network trying to make it less offensive across all religions but not being consistent, some religious jokes staying and others getting cut. No clear pattern, as if different people edited different episodes with different rules. Sexual content also got censored after the fact. South Park's early seasons had a lot of crude sexual humor, kids talking about sex, adults in sexual situations, visual jokes with body parts, and a lot of this got edited out, not all of it, just enough to make episodes feel safer. The changes made some jokes incomplete. You would hear a setup, but the punchline was gone, or characters would react to something you could no longer see, the edits creating confusion. Violence got reduced in some episodes. South Park was always violent, characters dying all the time, blood and gore common. But certain episodes had their violence shortened, death scenes cut quicker, blood reduced, the edits trying to make the violence less graphic while keeping the jokes. This did not always work. Sometimes the violence was the joke, and removing it killed the comedy. But networks did it anyway to lower the rating. The edited versions created problems for fans. People who watched South Park when episodes first aired remembered how they were, and when they watched again on streaming or cable, things felt off. Jokes they remembered were not there, scenes played differently. At first they thought they remembered wrong, but then they talked online, and other fans noticed the same changes, realizing episodes got edited later. This made people search for original versions. Fans wanted to see South Park the way it was supposed to be, so old DVD sets became valuable. Early releases from the early 2000s had unedited episodes, and fans started buying used copies online, prices going up as people realized these were the only way to get originals. Later, DVD releases could not be trusted. Some had edited versions even though they said they were uncensored, so buyers had to look up which specific releases had the real versions, which became complicated and expensive. Piracy sites became archives. People who recorded original broadcasts uploaded them, and these files circulated online. They were not legal, but they saved content that was being erased legally. Fans downloaded these files to keep original versions alive, the irony being that piracy protected content while legal distribution censored it. Legal viewers got altered episodes, while pirates got the real thing. The situation showed how networks could rewrite history. By editing old episodes and only showing the changed versions, they altered the show's legacy. New fans watching on streaming thought they were getting real South Park, not knowing scenes were missing or jokes got ruined. The version they saw becoming the real version in their minds, the original episodes existing only in private collections and illegal files. This type of censorship was more complete than bans. Banned episodes created controversy. People knew they were missing something. Edited episodes went unnoticed. The censorship was invisible. Looking at episodes that only exist in edited form now, they represent ongoing censorship. Networks keep making changes. When episodes go to new platforms, new edits happen. HBO Max made more changes to some episodes when South Park got there, and Paramount Plus did the same, each platform having different rules and making different edits, the result being that multiple edited versions exist, which one you see depending on where you watch. The original broadcasts are getting rarer, being erased through 1,000 small cuts across decades. This slow censorship is harder to fight than sudden bans. When an episode gets removed, people notice and complain, but when an episode gets slightly edited, most do not notice at all. The changes adding up over time until the edited version becomes the only version anyone can find, and the original is forgotten. This is how content gets censored in the streaming age, not through dramatic removal, but through quiet changes. The episode exists, so there is no controversy, but it has been weakened, so there is no risk. Networks get it both ways, keeping the content in their library while removing what made it controversial, and fans lose either way. Take a second to subscribe if this is worth your while. Moving on to why South Park keeps losing episodes. South Park has been on for over 25 years, and in that time has made more than 300 episodes, but you cannot watch all of them legally. Some are totally banned, others are heavily edited, and a few are only on old DVDs. The show keeps losing episodes to censorship, and it happens slowly. An episode disappears from streaming, another gets edited for reruns, a third becomes unavailable in certain countries. The pattern keeps going with no signs of stopping. Understanding why requires looking at how culture, platforms, and worldwide distribution create ongoing pressure to limit content. South Park is not getting less controversial. The world is getting less tolerant of controversy, and that gap means more censorship is coming. The first reason is cultural change. What was okay in 1997 is not okay in 2025. Society changes, values change, and humor that worked 20 years ago feels offensive now. South Park has not changed how it does things much. The show still pushes limits, but the limits moved. Topics that were edgy are now taboo, and language that was shocking is now forbidden. The show keeps making the same kind of content, but people react worse, creating a library of episodes that feel more and more problematic to modern viewers. Networks look at old episodes and see risk, preferring to remove or edit rather than defend content from decades ago. Religious sensitivity has grown worldwide. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, religious satire was more accepted in Western media. Shows could make fun of Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and other religions without big consequences. But the Muhammad cartoon controversy changed everything, showing that religious satire could have violent consequences. Networks got scared and started censoring religious content ahead of time, which did not just affect new episodes, but old ones too. Episodes that aired without problems got pulled because networks were scared of backlash later. The standard kept getting stricter. What was okay 5 years ago, not okay today, and what is okay today probably will not be okay in 5 more years. Political pressure matters too. South Park criticizes governments and political figures regularly. Some countries handle this, others do not. China bans all criticism of their government. Middle Eastern countries limit content that questions leaders, and even democratic countries have limits on what can be said about leaders. As South Park went worldwide, these political sensitivities created problems. Episodes that worked fine in America could not show in other places, and networks had to choose between losing whole countries or removing episodes, usually choosing to remove episodes, since the worldwide market was too valuable to risk over individual episodes. Streaming platforms created new censorship opportunities. In the past, South Park aired on Comedy Central, one network making choices for everyone, but streaming broke up distribution. Now multiple platforms carry the show, each with its own rules and editing choices. HBO Max allows more content than basic cable. Paramount Plus has different rules than HBO Max, and international streaming services have their own rules, creating a patchwork of censorship where what is available in one place is not available elsewhere. Platforms able to remove or edit episodes without coordinating, the result being no single place with the complete unedited series. Advertisers have more power now than ever. In traditional TV, advertisers bought time slots, and if they did not like a show, they just did not advertise during it. But streaming uses targeted ads that can appear in specific episodes, which means advertisers can pressure platforms to remove individual episodes they do not want to be connected with. If an episode is controversial, advertisers threaten to pull their whole account, and platforms give in because ad money is critical, giving advertisers veto power over content. They can basically ban episodes by refusing to advertise near them, and platforms would rather remove the episode than lose the money. Legal threats have gone up too. South Park parodies real people and companies, and some of them threaten to sue, claiming insult or trademark problems. Most of these threats are baseless, since parody is protected speech in America, but fighting lawsuits is expensive, so platforms often decide it is cheaper to remove an episode than fight in court, and even when they would probably win, the legal costs are not worth it, so episodes get removed to avoid lawsuits. This creates a chilling effect. Creators know controversial episodes might get pulled later, even if legally protected, which stops controversial content from being made in the first place. International laws make things more complicated. Different countries have different speech laws. What is legal in America might be illegal in Europe or Asia. Hate speech laws in some countries ban content that is allowed in others. South Park episodes protected as free speech in the US can be criminal in Germany, and blasphemy laws in some countries make religious satire illegal. Platforms broadcasting worldwide have to deal with these conflicting legal systems, and the easiest solution is to remove episodes that break any country's laws, which means the strictest censorship rule applies everywhere. If China bans an episode, it might disappear from other places too, just to simplify distribution. The creators have limited control over censorship. Matt Stone and Trey Parker make the show, but they do not own how it gets distributed. Comedy Central and Viacom own that. The creators can complain when episodes get censored, but they cannot stop it, and the companies that distribute South Park make choices based on business interests. If censoring episodes protects money, they will censor, the creator's artistic vision mattering less than corporate risk management. This power difference means censorship happens even when creators do not want it. Fan complaints do not change much either. When episodes get banned or edited, fans notice and complain online, starting petitions, posting angry comments, but platforms rarely respond, having already decided the risk of keeping controversial content is bigger than making hardcore fans happy. Most viewers do not care about censored episodes. They just want to watch something funny, and the complaints come from a loud minority that platforms can safely ignore without losing many viewers. So fan pressure does not undo censorship, and episodes stay removed even when thousands of people ask for them back. The pattern is clear. Episodes will keep disappearing. Cultural standards will keep changing. Platforms will keep removing content that feels risky. Advertisers will keep threatening to pull money. Countries will keep blocking episodes that break their laws, and the creators will keep losing control over their own work. The South Park library is shrinking, not all at once but slowly, episode by episode, edit by edit, and in another 10 years, big parts of the show might be impossible to watch legally, the complete series existing only in private collections and pirated files. Looking at why South Park keeps losing episodes now, it is not about one cause, but about multiple pressures coming together. Cultural change makes old episodes seem offensive. Worldwide distribution brings conflicting laws and rules. Streaming platforms break up control, and create more censorship points. Advertisers gain power through targeted ads. Legal threats create money pressure to remove content, and corporate owners care more about money than artistic honesty. All these things work together to slowly erase controversial content, the censorship a death by 1,000 cuts. No single choice removes the show, but together these pressures make big parts of it unavailable. The pattern will keep going because the reasons are not going away. If anything, they are getting stronger. South Park will keep losing episodes because the world increasingly does not want controversial comedy to exist, and platforms are happy to oblige. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.